Chapter 50-74. Who is it? Those experts quickly asked. They were very good. The others also pricked up their ears. They had already guessed a few people. These people were ranked in the top 5 of the Holy Gulf list. Only a few of them could succeed. The guard in front said. It was Mad God. Mad God had reached the peak. What? Mad God? The surrounding people were all stunned when they heard this. They were no strangers to this name, because this was an expert who had suddenly risen more than 10 years ago. He had killed the 1000th on the Holy Gulf list several times, which had shocked countless people. Later on, he had challenged everyone. Especially when he was in the Heavenly Court ruins, he had become famous and had caused countless exclamations. However, no matter how strong he was still far from reaching the peak. No one would think that Mad God could reach the peak. But now, these guards were telling them that he was the one who had reached the peak. This was unbelievable. Are you sure? The elders roared crazily. The guards said. Yes, the Holy Gulf list had shown his name, which was on par with Kuanpingzi and the Dragon Prince. It was really Mad God. Countless people were shocked, and the others had different expressions after hearing it. The Blue Clan and the others were livid, and the people of the Dragon Palace were completely gloomy. Especially the Dragon Prince. His eyes were filled with extremely cold killing intent. What was Mad God trying to do? Why didn't he break through earlier or later? Why did he have to break through when he was crowned king? Was he challenging him? More importantly, Mad God was on Lin Xian's side. In other words, another powerful enemy had appeared. Damn it, could there be a problem with the Holy Gulf Tower? How could that trash reach the peak? The Dragon Prince couldn't believe it. Kuanpingzi also frowned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to compete with the Dragon Prince. Now there was another Mad God who had reached the peak. Was he going to be crowned king too? This change was really too fast. The other geniuses felt a huge amount of pressure. They discovered that right now, there was already a watershed. These imperial princes reached the peak, crowned kings, standing at the very top. There were a few top princes who could compete with them, but there were very few of them. No matter how strong the others were, he could only look up at these people. Perhaps the gap between the two of them would never be able to be crossed in this lifetime. The people from the Divine Union laughed heartily when they heard this. That was great. The Mad God was on their side. We are saved here. This was what the ordinary members of the Divine Union thought. However, people like the dark red Divine Dragon Toad were even happier. They knew that Mad God was Lin Xian. Previously, Lin Xian's main body had gone to attack the Sacred Abyss Tower, and now he had finally achieved results. Quickly go and investigate. What kind of snobbish person was Mad God? The people from the surrounding clans and sects sent people out again. However, at this moment, a few figures flew over from afar. Their speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, they had arrived in the sky. Everyone looked up and cried out in surprise. It's him. They discovered that the newcomers were divine generals from the Sacred Abyss Tower. In addition, standing at the very front was a young man that everyone was very familiar with. Lin Xian. Was he going to challenge the Dragon Prince this time? What kind of joke was this? If he wanted to hide, he might be able to live a few more years. If he came out now, he would definitely be slapped to death. Damn brat. How dare you come? The people from the Dragon Palace also jumped out immediately. The people from the Blue Tribe were even more furious. Kneel down and accept your death. Lin Xian's gaze turned into a divine sword and pierced through these people. These people were instantly nailed to death in the void. The others felt their scalps go numb. They had not expected the other party to be so bold as to kill other experts here. You are courting death. How dare you attack? Angry shouts could be heard. Lin Xian sneered. I have said before that ants have no right to jump in front of me. Otherwise you will die. Whoever is not convinced can come over. I will grant him death. Lin Xian's gaze swept across the crowd. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They could feel a biting cold. He was too strong. Had Lin Wudi become so strong? Just his gaze alone was enough to make them unable to resist. Brat, you really dared to come. The Dragon Prince laughed. Initially, I thought that I would not be able to find you if you hid. I did not expect you to be such an idiot. Since you're here, fine. Leave your last words. Today, I'm going to start with you. I will let everyone know the consequences of going against me. The Dragon Prince released a terrifying killing intent. He had already decided to kill Lin Xian here. A few elders of the True Path sect walked out and said coldly, Lin Xian, apologize to the Dragon Prince. Then, we will spare your life. That's right, you've gone too far. Hurry up and apologize to the Dragon Prince. Today is the Dragon Prince's coronation. If you dare to cause trouble, don't blame me for suppressing you personally. A cold voice could be heard, causing everyone's face to change. Bai Susu and the others looked solemn. Damn it. Has the Dao sect completely sided with the Dragon Prince? Lin Xian frowned as well. Turning his head, he realized that the few elders of the Dao sect were extremely powerful. They were even more terrifying than Elder Bai. Could they be even more terrifying? Core elders? He knew that with his relationship with the Dragon Prince, the True Path sect could only support one of them. But he did not care, because he had not shown his true strength yet. When he was crowned, he wanted to see if all the elders of the True Path sect would support the Dragon Prince. With that thought, Lin Xian laughed out loud. Apologize? Do I deserve it? Hearing that, everyone's face changed. If the Dragon Prince did not deserve it, then no one else in the world deserved it. The elders of the True Path sect looked cold. Lin Xian, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Now is not the time for you to behave atrociously. One of the divine generals walked out and said in a low voice, Leave quickly. The coronation was not over yet. The elders of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty walked out and wanted to attack. At that moment, Lin Xian snorted coldly. You want to attack me? Can you bear the consequences? Let me tell you. I am not here to behave atrociously. I have something to do. What can you do? Are you here to watch the coronation? Sorry, the dragons do not welcome you. Scram. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty shouted coldly. At that moment, an iron rod smashed over and tore through the 9 heavens. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty felt their blood boil. Sun Qitian said coldly, If you dare to say another word, I will destroy your soul. Damn monkey. The experts of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty gritted their teeth. Sun Qitian waved the iron rod and smashed him into pieces. A tragic sound spread out and everyone's scalps went numb. Sun Qitian snorted coldly. I already warned you, and you still dared to speak. I will send you to hell. Everyone was shocked. This monkey was too strong. Lin Xian smiled as well. Brother monkey, you're here too. Chapter 50-75. The Dragon Prince stood there with a cold expression. He didn't need to do anything. Someone would take care of these people. As expected, the elders of the Path sect walked out. The divine generals of the Sacred Abyss Tower also walked out. They all supported the Dragon Prince with all their might. They definitely wouldn't let anyone challenge the Kinkenfurl ceremony. With so many elders coming out, the others felt their scalps go numb. Even if these two were imperial princes, they could only run away in the face of such terrifying experts. This was too much. Sun Qitian was furious. His body emitted a terrifying light. Lin Xian said, Don't worry, brother monkey. Let me do it. He walked forward. The surrounding people were stunned. Even the monkey couldn't do anything to them. How could Lin Xian deal with them? What a joke. The surrounding people were all experts of the older generation. They were so strong that they could crush the other party with a finger. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty sneered. They wanted to see what tricks the other party could play. Lin Xian looked at the Dragon Prince and sneered. You want me to participate in your Kinkenfurl ceremony? You think too much. What's so good about your Kinkenfurl ceremony? I'm not interested. I'm here because I want to be crowned Kinkenfurl ceremony. What? The people around him were all stunned. Their brains couldn't even react. Lin Xian's words were too shocking. He wasn't interested in the Dragon Prince's Kinkenfurl ceremony. He wanted to be crowned Kinkenfurl ceremony. Heavens, what kind of joke was this? Was being crowned Kinkenfurl ceremony something that could be conferred as one wished? It wasn't a title that was given casually. One had to reach the peak of the Sacred Abyss Tower to be qualified. Otherwise, who would dare to be crowned Kinkenfurl ceremony? they would be smashed into a bloody mist by the sacred abyss divine general. Now Lin Xian actually said such arrogant words in front of the divine general? In the square, the divine general was also furious. His eyes were like divine swords that pierced through heaven and earth as he stared at Lin Xian. Are you challenging the dignity of the sacred abyss tower? Hurry up and kneel down and kowtow. Otherwise, even if you're a disciple of the Tao, I can destroy your soul. It's over. This kid is dead. Everyone shook their heads. Since the divine general was angry, who could save him? Even this monkey couldn't do it. The people of Dragon Palace sneered. What an idiot. The people from the Blue Clan and Zifu heaved a sigh of relief. Great, they could finally watch this guy die. Let's see who dares to touch him. However, at this moment, a loud and clear voice rang out between heaven and earth. Immediately after, two figures that resembled war gods appeared around Lin Xian. Everyone was dumbfounded because they were also two divine generals. What was going on? Why would these two immortal generals help Lin Xian? Everyone was confused. The people of Dragon Palace frowned. He was the immortal general of the Dragon Prince. Divine General Firecloud said with a cold expression. What is the meaning of this? Do you want to break the rules of the Sacred Abyss Tower as well? Or did this kid give you some benefits? Questioning voices sounded. The atmosphere between heaven and earth froze. Divine General Ocean Abyss said coldly. We didn't break the rules. We came here to witness Lin Xian's coronation. Him being crowned king? What kind of joke was this? Was he qualified? The Dragon Prince sneered. The people around him also laughed. Divine General Yungu said that he was indeed qualified. As soon as he said that, the laughter between heaven and earth stopped. He was qualified? What a joke. They didn't understand. However, at this moment, the pupils of a few experts constricted. An elder of the Earth sect exclaimed. Someone had just reached the peak of the Sacred Abyss Tower. Could it be you? As soon as he said that, the others were in an uproar. No way, didn't they say that the one who reached the peak of the Sacred Abyss Tower was Mad God? Why was it Lin Xian again? Yes, it definitely couldn't be him. How could he be Mad God? However, there were also people who said that it wasn't right. One could not use their real names in the Sacred Abyss Tower. Dragon Prince Kuempingzi, those were all titles. Mad God could also be a title. Besides, no one knew the true identity of Mad God. Perhaps it really was this kid. As soon as he said that, countless people were in an uproar. They all looked up at the sky. Was it really him? Were you Mad God? The Dragon Prince was also stunned. He was so angry that his body was trembling after being slapped in the face by Divine General Ocean Abyss. Lin Xian looked around and said loudly, That's right, I'm Mad God. Everyone was going crazy. Was it really him? They had only guessed before, but now they heard it with their own ears. They were still shocked. The people from the Blue Tribe, Purple Mansion Tribe, and Golden Crow Tribe were all stunned. The other party actually had such strength. They couldn't believe it. However, the other experts had grave expressions on their faces. They carefully recalled the relationship between Mad God and Lin Xian. They realized that Mad God had always helped Lin Xian with all his might. If these two people were the same person, then everything that had happened before could be explained. In addition, two divine generals had come personally. This was enough to prove that everything was real. The other party was Mad God. The people from the Divine Union were also stunned. They knew that Mad God was on their side. However, they had never imagined that their boss, the leader of the Divine Union, would be Mad God himself. This was too unbelievable. After the shock, they were overjoyed. Great, their boss Lin had also reached the peak. He had been crowned king. He wasn't any weaker than the Dragon Prince. Let's see who still dares to look down on us. The Nalan family, the Duga family, the Pill Cauldron sect, and the other supporters of the Divine Union were also stunned. To be honest, they had all received help from Lin Xian. Now that Lin Xian was in danger, they naturally had to help him. However, Mad God's identity still shocked them. The people from the Fire Dragon tribe were also scared. Fortunately, they had still stood on Lin Xian's side. Otherwise, they would have been the first to be destroyed by Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked ahead and said coldly, Divine General Fire Cloud, do I have the right to stand here? Patriarchs of the Tao sect, do you still want to make a move on me? A questioning voice rang out, shocking countless people. Was this guy going against the patriarchs? The divine General Fire Cloud snorted, but didn't say a word. Even the patriarchs of the Tao sect had cold looks on their faces. Elder Bai laughed heartily. Young Master Lin, you are indeed unexpected. Our Tao sect is going to hold another kink-and-furl ceremony today. After saying that, he flew into the distance and waved his hand, creating an empty space. Lin Xian also walked over there. Today, I am going to be crowned king. Lin Xian's voice reverberated in all directions. Those who had come to congratulate him were shocked. Crowning 2 kings in one day was something that had never happened before. Was it going to happen right before their eyes? Were they going to witness history? Countless shocked voices rang out. This was too unbelievable. These people looked at the Tao sect with envy. 2 kings had appeared in the Tao sect in one day. They would probably reach the peak in the future and surpass the other orthodoxies. Indeed, the people from the Sky sect and Earth sect had ugly looks on their faces. This was especially so for the Sky sect. Previously, Kuan Pengzi had been crowned first, allowing them to surpass the other 2 orthodoxies. It could be said that they were unparalleled. But now, the Tao sect had 2 kink-and-furl geniuses, completely surpassing them. Chapter 5076. Kuan Pengzi's eyes shone with a cold light as he stared at Lin Xian. Previously, it was only rumored that Lin Xian could contend with the Dragon Prince. However, resisting 2 moves and truly fighting side by side with the Crown Prince were 2 different things. In his opinion, the Dragon Prince was just being careless. Once he attacked with his full strength, Lin Xian would definitely die. Therefore, he didn't take it to heart. However, it was completely different now. The other party was the Mad God. He had directly reached the peak of the Holy Abyss, and was going to be crowned king today. This showed that he was not weaker than them at all. The other party was not a crown prince and did not have a powerful bloodline, but he was not weaker than them. This was something that only a young great emperor could do. The other party had the potential to become a great emperor. This was not good news for him. Yi Wudao took a deep breath. As expected of Brother Lin, he was indeed strong. However, he would not fall behind. His eyes shone with a cold light. On the other side, Gu Feng of the Gu family gritted his teeth. He and Lin Xian were also enemies. At this moment, the other party was dazzling, so he was naturally angry. As for the other geniuses, some were filled with killing intent, some were envious, and some were about to go mad. The heavenly sect elder's face was cold. At this moment he sneered. 2 kings being crowned? I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Old Zhang, what do you mean by that? The heavenly sect disciples were puzzled. The heavenly sect elder laughed. If it was someone else who was crowned king, they would naturally be above us in the end. However, these 2 kings are mortal enemies. There will be a battle between the 2 of them, and only one of them can survive. Do you think this is a good thing for the Tao sect? Perhaps in the end, both sides would suffer great losses, or even perish together. The Tao sect will never allow such a thing to happen. I think they can only choose one of the 2. How could the other be willing to be abandoned? This was a king, a young great emperor. How could such a person not retaliate? Therefore, no matter what, the Tao sect would be unlucky. Hearing this, the heavenly sect's crown prince also gloated. When the others heard this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. They also wanted to see how the situation would develop. After Lin Xian landed, a crown appeared in the ocean abyss divine general's hand, ready to crown him as king. However, only Elder Bai from the Tao sect had come. The other elders had not come. They were all on the Dragon Prince's side. Countless people were shocked. It seemed like the Tao sect was still going to choose the Dragon Prince. Someone sighed. It couldn't be helped. Although Lin Xian was extraordinary, the Dragon Prince was even more terrifying. He was an imperial prince, and he had an imperial clan behind him. That kind of strength was definitely not something that Lin Xian could possess. Therefore, it was normal for them to give up on Lin Xian. Everyone knew that it wasn't because Lin Xian was weak. However, the Dragon Prince was too powerful. His status and background surpassed everything else. At this moment, another old man walked out from the path. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being, like an old immortal. His eyes flickered with a mysterious light. His appearance caused the people from the Tao sect to immediately salute him. Greetings, fantasy world old ancestor. Lin Xian also looked over and narrowed his eyes. He had seen Ancestor Huanshi once before. He had come out during the Tao sect's gathering. This was a true ancestor. His decision alone was equivalent to the opinions of hundreds of Tao sect elders. Therefore, everyone wanted to know who Ancestor Huanshi supported. The Dragon Prince also looked back and bowed slightly. Greetings, Ancestor Huanshi. Ancestor Huanshi nodded. Dragon Prince, I'm not too late to be crowned, right? Hearing this, the Dragon Prince smiled. Senior, you're too polite. It's the honor of the dragons that Senior can come. Senior, please. The people from the Dragon Palace quickly invited Ancestor Huanshi over respectfully. At the same time, they were also overjoyed that a Tao sect ancestor was on their side. This could very well represent the will of the Tao sect. In other words, the Tao sect had supported them and given up on Lin Xian. When the others saw this, they were also in an uproar. Many people shook their heads and sighed. Lin Xian, mad god, what a pity. The people from the Divine Union were also in despair. Bai Susu and the others gritted their teeth. Damn it, how did this happen? Can't the Crown King fight against the Dragon Emperor? The dark red divine dragon and the others gritted their teeth. So what if it was the Tao sect? At most, they would leave this place and find a chance to kill the Dragon Prince. They were infuriated. The Dragon Prince turned to Lin Xian and smiled. Looks like you've been abandoned. Today is the day you die. Even if you reach the peak, you will still fall. No one can save you. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Has the Tao sect made a choice? So what? Even if he left the Tao sect in the future, he would still be able to move forward. Besides, he would have to kill the Dragon Prince sooner or later. At that moment, another figure flew out from the depths of the Tao sect. Countless people were stunned because the aura of the person who came out was equally terrifying. It was as if the world was going to collapse. Everyone was in an uproar. This was the combat strength of the Tao sect ancestor. Was another ancestor coming out? Even the fantasy world ancestor was stunned. He frowned and looked behind him, his eyes emitting a mysterious light. The fantasy world ancestor had a pair of illusory eyes and a powerful soul. However, the person who came out had a powerful strength. He was like a god of war who could easily tear the world apart. Wilderness. The fantasy world ancestor frowned. The people from the other two orthodoxies also exclaimed. It was the wilderness ancestor. The people from the Tao sect were stunned. The wilderness ancestor snorted. Why haven't I come out for a long time? Have the disciples of the Tao sect become so unruly? He stomped his foot and the blood of the people around him churned. Many people vomited blood. The Tao sect disciples came back to their senses and hurriedly bowed. Greetings, wilderness ancestor. Please forgive us. The others felt their scalps go numb. This power is too terrifying. The people from the Sky sect and Earth sect frowned. The Tao sect had a total of 5 ancestors. They were the 5 giants. Now 2 of them had come out. This situation was very abnormal. Could it be that the Dragon Prince was so important? The Dragon Prince also took a deep breath. A hint of excitement appeared in his eyes. These were true giants. Now that 2 of them were on his side, even Kuanpingzi would be defeated by him. Thinking of this, he smiled proudly. However, his smile quickly disappeared. The others widened their eyes, and their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. The wilderness ancestor did not come to the Dragon Prince's side. Instead, he walked to Lin Xian's side. He kept nodding. Interesting. 9 young divine body, right? Little guy, I didn't expect you to be crowned king. Good, very good. I have high hopes for you. He patted Lin Xian's shoulder. The space around Lin Xian shattered. Lin Xian's blood also churned. The other party had already restrained himself. If the other party patted him with all his strength, his divine body would probably not be able to withstand it. However, he also smiled. Thank you, Senior Wilderness. Chapter 5077. Heavens, the savage wilderness patriarch was actually on Lin Xian's side. Could it be that he supported Lin Xian? The people from the Dragon Palace were dumbfounded. The people from the Blue Clan were stunned, and so were the others. The Sky Sect elders' pupils constricted. Impossible. How could there be two wills in the Tao sect? Could it be that they were supporting two people? The Earth sect experts also tightly knitted their brows. Just what was Tao sect up to? The Fantasy World Patriarch also spoke. What do you mean, savage wilderness? The Savage Wilderness Patriarch laughed. My meaning is very clear. I support this little fellow. I think highly of him. Why didn't you discuss this matter with me before? The Fantasy World Patriarch's expression was ugly. If this was not handled well, the Tao sect might be doomed. Moreover, with so many families and sects here, wouldn't others be watching the show? The Savage Wilderness Patriarch snorted coldly. Do I need to explain my actions to you? You support yours, I support mine. The Fantasy World Patriarch did not say anything else. This matter was beyond his expectations. Moreover, until now, the other three old fellows had not come out. It was obvious that they had tacitly agreed. He heaved a sigh, before he remembered. Their Tao sect also had a top genius, who was also an expert of the dragons. His name was Longguang. The Savage Wilderness Patriarch thought highly of him, but later on he died. They knew that it was very likely related to the Dragon Prince. However, the Dragon Prince was the Emperor's son and the Tao sect's only hope. Therefore, the Savage Wilderness Patriarch could not do anything. However, it was different now. Someone had been crowned king, and could compete with the Dragon Prince. This way, the Savage Wilderness Patriarch would probably immediately support the other party. Moreover, this Lin Xian probably had some relationship with Long Guang. After all, even the Black Sea Dragons were on Lin Xian's side. The following situation was very strange. The coronation of two kings had never happened before. Moreover, the Tao had tacitly agreed. Lin Xian's coronation process was very fast. He wore a crown and looked down on the world, receiving the envy and worship of countless people. From today onwards, Lin Xian was the king of crowns. His name could already be recorded in history. Furthermore, it would be engraved on the stone tablet of the sacred Abyss Tower for eternity. The people from Dragon Palace had ugly expressions. Originally, they wanted to use Lin Xian as an example to intimidate the world. But now, not only did he fail, but Lin Xian was now on par with the Dragon Prince. This was completely out of their expectations. Damn it. With the support of the old ancestor, it would be difficult for him to kill the other party in the future. The Dragon Prince's face was gloomy and cold. He had already decided that after the coronation ceremony, he would immediately mobilize experts to kill the other party. He had to kill the other party. This was a huge threat. He would not allow the other party to continue growing. Lin Xian accepted the coronation and was conferred the title of Crown King. He turned around. Everyone, this must be the first time you've seen the coronation of two kings. Don't you want to see which king is stronger? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Originally, they all wanted to leave, but at this moment they stopped. All of them looked ahead. What was the meaning of this? Could it be that the other party wanted to attack the Dragon Prince? Heavens, this is too unbelievable. Before this, they were looking forward to Long Huangzi and Kuan Pengzi fighting. Now Lin Xian was going to attack. But it was the same because Lin Xian was also crowned as king. This was definitely going to be a fierce battle. You want to fight with me? The Dragon Prince also frowned. Lin Xian scoffed coldly. Why? You don't dare? If you don't dare, then kneel down and kowtow to me and I will let you leave. You are asking for death. Stupid thing. I was thinking of an excuse to attack you. Since you want to die, then I will grant you your wish. In the king battle, I will use the Emperor's ability. If you are not careful, you will die. Therefore, when the time comes, I hope that the seniors and divine generals will forgive me. The Dragon Prince's voice was filled with killing intent. Everyone knew that he was going to kill him. Lin Xian said that if you can't take my ability, you will go to hell. It was good that the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty knew this. Don't embarrass yourself here. If the younger generation couldn't beat him, it would be embarrassing if the older generation attacked. The elders of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty scoffed coldly. They had unlimited confidence in the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian would definitely not lose. Last time, the Dragon Prince was just careless. This time, the Dragon Prince was going to use his full strength to kill Lin Xian. The Dragon Prince raised his hand, and an extremely terrifying aura of the Dragon Dao appeared. A pair of dragon claws could tear the sky and the earth apart. Lin Wudi prepared to die. He slapped out and turned into a giant dragon that pounced over. Green Dragon Palm. With this palm, the green dragon roared and flapped its wings. An endless storm turned into a heavenly blade. It tore the void apart. This power instantly enveloped Lin Xian. It was too terrifying. The Dragon Prince had come and used the dragon's ultimate ability. Lin Xian was probably in danger. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and turned into a fearless lion seal. He charged forward. The golden lion roared and slashed at the green dragon palm. A dragon and a lion roared between heaven and earth. It shook the surroundings. Then, the green dragon was torn in half by the golden lion. A terrifying golden light enveloped the Dragon Prince. Countless people exclaimed when they saw this scene. It was so terrifying. Not only did Lin Xian block the Dragon Prince's attack, but he was also able to counterattack. A ray of light erupted where the Dragon Prince was, and a terrifying black hole appeared. 10,000 dragons surrounded him and blocked this attack. However, his expression was extremely ugly. He had underestimated the other party. Although the other party was not a Tharch, his combat strength was not weaker than a Thearchus at all. It seemed that he had to take the other party seriously. 9 dragon transformations. As he spoke, 9 giant dragons rolled between heaven and earth, and a terrifying power swept in all directions. "Ant, you have angered me." The phantoms of the 5 giant dragons charged toward Lin Xian with a powerful force. The surrounding people were terrified. The 9 dragon transformations was a peerless theurgy. It was a Thearchus theurgy. This attack was 5 times stronger than before. Demon God Finger. Lin Xian stretched out 5 fingers and pointed forward. 5 fingers flew out, and 5 rays of light swept across heaven and earth like the spears of a demon god. He was also using the theurgy from the demon summoning scripture. As soon as the 5 demon god fingers appeared, heaven and earth shook. Everyone could see that an endless black hole appeared in the void. There was no power to resist it. The 5 giant dragons collided with the 5 demon god fingers, and a shattering sound was heard. The sky was completely shattered, and the 5 giant dragons let out miserable roars. They suffered a crazy blow and almost collapsed. But it had to be said that the Dragon Prince was really too strong. The phantoms of the 5 giant dragons did not shatter. Instead, their huge bodies began to wrap around the 5 black fingers. They wanted to tear them apart. Lin Xian snorted and punched out. The 6-path fist pressed forward. Chapter 50-78. Is he suppressing the Dragon Prince again? This Lin Xian is really strong. The Dragon Prince's face turned ugly. With a roar, dragon blood danced in the air, and countless laws danced around him. It was extremely dazzling. True Dragon's 7 steps. He performed an extremely powerful divine ability, and there were tens of thousands of dragon shadows circling under his feet. The explosive aura made the whole world tremble violently. Everyone exclaimed. They could feel their bodies being pushed back continuously. It was as though this stomp of theirs could turn an entire world into dust and ashes. Boom. With one step, the 9 heavens shattered, and a terrifying power came. The demon god finger shook violently, and endless demon talismans flickered on it to resist. However, when he took the second step, one of the demon god finger shattered. It turned into monstrous demonic chi. Another step was taken, and the remaining demon god sun fingers also cracked one by one. The true dragon's 7 steps was so terrifying. Even the terrifying demon god finger couldn't withstand this step. If he stepped on the body of a sage, no one would be able to withstand it. Lin Xian had the 9 yang divine body, right? Unfortunately, the 9 yang divine body was still a little weaker than the crown prince's physique. He would definitely not be able to withstand it. The people of the Dragon Palace sneered. Dragons had reverse scales. This Lin Xian was definitely going to die if he challenged the Dragon Prince. And everything was over. The Dragon Prince's 4th step caused the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Several huge cracks that were tens of millions of miles long appeared in the void, spreading into the distance. The surrounding people trembled in fear. Fortunately, at this time, the top great sage joined forces and cast a terrifying saint domain, enveloping the surrounding spectators. Only then did those people let out a sigh of relief. Otherwise, they would probably be turned into ashes under this step. Could Lin Xian block it? Bai Susu and the others were nervous. However, Hong Hunya said, "Don't worry, young Master Lin's strength is definitely beyond your imagination." Back then, he had seen the battle between Lin Xian and the Dead Soul's Abyss with his own eyes. Now that Lin Xian's cultivation had broken through again, his strength was much stronger than before. Therefore, this battle was definitely not a problem. Lin Xian roared, and a huge seal appeared in his hand. Demon God Seal. The true dragon's 7 steps collided with his opponent's attack. Both were martial monarch skills. The battle between the two was utterly terrifying. The stars in the sky fell. The terrifying Great Tao swept out in all directions like thunder. The spectators all sighed in admiration. Both of them were supreme youths, too terrifying. If such a person was born in another era, he would definitely become a great emperor. At the very least, he could ascend to the 9 heavens and sweep through the 10,000 worlds. But now, if the two were to fight, one of them would definitely be injured. There were even people who exclaimed in admiration. This was a golden age. Other than these two, there was also Kuan Pengzi. The Qilin clan and the Phoenix clan also had princes and princesses. In addition, Yi Wudao from the Yi clan and Gu Feng from the Gu clan had already cultivated the legacy of the great emperors. If they grew up, they would definitely not be weak. In the future, the competition would probably be between these young giants. They knew that such a person had the talent of a young great emperor. But who would be able to walk to the end? Perhaps the competition in this life would be 100 times more difficult than before. In the sky, the dragon prince roared and released the image of a dragon. 6 giant dragons rolled around him. That was the 6th transformation of the true dragon's 9 transformations. It was the strongest state he could use this martial monarch skill in. After all, he was also a peak sage king. To be able to use it to this extent was already enough to shock those in the Sage King realm. Lin Xian's expression was also cold. The seal in his hand was terrifying, as if it could turn the world upside down. Not only that, he waved his left hand and used the 6-path fist. Phantoms of 6 worlds revolved around him. He collided with the 6 giant dragons of the opponent. The battle between the two was like a fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger. The dragon prince's face was cold. After fighting with the opponent for so long, they were actually evenly matched. This was something he couldn't tolerate. With a roar, a dragon spear appeared in his hand and he gripped it tightly. With a light shake, hundreds of black holes were torn in the void. This was a legendary sacred weapon, which made countless experts envious. The dragon prince had such a divine weapon at such a young age. This thing, even a clan only had a few of them. The heritage of the monarch clan was really too strong. With the dragon spear in hand, it crushed the world. With one attack, it directly attacked Lin Xian's forehead. Lin Xian was still not afraid. With a wave of his hand, the Hellfire Dragon sword appeared to meet the attack. With a clang, it collided with the dragon spear. The two collided, and the flames were extremely dazzling. With the two of them as the center, a shocking power swept out in all directions. The entire world turned into chaos. It wasn't the Great Destruction? The dark red divine dragon was also surprised. He thought that Lin Xian would use the Great Destruction spear. He didn't expect that what he took out was a sword, and it was something he had never seen before. What a terrifying flame. What a cold aura. What sword was this? The soul sage beside him said that this was the Hellfire Dragon sword. It was a very terrifying legendary sword in the underworld. He didn't expect that young Master Lin would get it. The Hellfire Dragon sword was also a legendary sacred weapon. As soon as he appeared, he displayed powerful power, shocking countless people. Damn kid, who are you fighting with? It hurts so much to hit me. The Hellfire Dragon sword roared, its eyes staring forward. What a terrifying dragon aura. This guy is not simple. Kid, kill him quickly. I want his dragon blood. I want to use his dragon blood to reforge. No, don't break him. I want his physique. With his physique, I can be reborn. In the sword world, the Hellfire Dragon was also roaring crazily. His eyes were red. This guy's voice was not concealed at all, and it spread between heaven and earth. The spectators were all dumbfounded. This sword was talking, and it dared to have designs on the Dragon Prince. Heavens, what kind of sword was this? Lin Xian was also speechless. He snorted and told himself to be honest. The Dragon Prince was so angry that his whole body trembled. He felt the aura of a dragon from this sword. Obviously, it was something that belonged to him, the dragons. But the other party dared to have designs on him, and even wanted his dragon blood, and wanted to seize his physique. Stupid thing, I am the son of the Dragon Emperor. As a person of the dragons, why don't you submit to me? A cold voice sounded. The Dragon Prince's bloodline suppression completely erupted. At this moment, everyone felt a suppression. It was a suppression that came from the depths of the bloodline. It was as if the other party was a king, and they could only crawl outside. You are the Emperor's son? The Hellfire Dragon's sword was shocked, and then it trembled with excitement. Great, I didn't expect that I would finally meet an Emperor's son. With your physique and bloodline, even if I can't become a great emperor, I can still unify all the dragons in the universe. I want to be the new god of the dragons. The Hellfire Dragon roared crazily, and endless runes appeared on its face. A powerful force exploded. Chapter 5079. The Hellfire Dragon's sword's words were shocking. The faces of the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty turned ugly. Damn it, they didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a treasure. It was really shocking. The dark red divine dragon laughed. Although this brother is arrogant, he is to my liking. The Dragon Prince roared crazily. He waved his dragon spear and swept it forward. At the same time, his left hand shone brightly, and terrifying dragon scales appeared on it. It seemed to be indestructible. As he waved his arm, monstrous flames appeared. It was the fire of the dragon. Below, the people of the 1,000 Dragon Court all exclaimed when they saw this scene. Great, the Sky Dragon arm. The Dragon Prince was going to use the Sky Dragon arm. The others were terrified. The name sounded like a terrifying ultimate technique, and its power was even more terrifying than before. It was obvious that this was also a great emperor's ability. They were envious. Every divine ability in the land of the great emperor's inheritance was terrifying. Now that the Dragon Prince used it, he could kill countless great sage experts with one hit. But now, all these abilities couldn't do anything to Lin Xian. Could the current Heavenly Dragon Arm achieve victory? The Sky Dragon Arm was a super powerful ultimate technique. Once used, it couldn't be used again in a short time. Therefore, the Dragon Prince wouldn't use it easily under normal circumstances. Now he was completely furious. He didn't care about anything else and used the Sky Dragon Arm. The Sky Dragon Arm appeared, and the sky fell and the earth cracked. The stars in the sky had become dim and lightless. He threw out a punch and charged forward. The Hellfire Dragon's sword roared crazily. Damn it, kid, I blocked his dragon spear. You can take this punch yourself. He could also feel how terrifying this punch was. If this punch landed on his body, he would probably be beaten until he lost his luster. Lin Xian furrowed his brows in the face of such a terrifying punch. This punch was too fast, and it arrived in front of him in an instant. Kid, let's see how you block it. You want to use my great emperor's ability? Can you beat it? The Dragon Prince sneered proudly. He had the complete Dragon Emperor's inheritance. In his opinion, Lin Xian was just lucky to get a few types of Earth God Emperor. But it couldn't compete with the true Great Emperor's inheritance. Boom. Wherever the Heavenly Dragon Arm passed, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The place Lin Xian was at was completely penetrated and connected to the universe. Endless starlight sprinkled down. Was he dead? Everyone was astonished as they carefully sensed their surroundings. However, in the next moment, they noticed that in the shattered starry sky, a terrifying demonic aura appeared. With a loud boom, an earth-shaking sound rang out. The Heavenly Dragon Arm was blocked. How could this be? People of Dragon Palace couldn't believe it. The Heavenly Dragon Arm was indestructible and belonged to the category of fist arts that could burst out in an instant. If he wanted to condense a second punch, He would need to accumulate time and strength. Even if it was a saint, such a fist art should be a great threat to him. But now? He was actually helpless against Lin Wudi? What did that guy use to block it? Everyone was puzzled. They looked forward and saw a black spear in Lin Xian's left hand. It was emanating a terrifying aura. It was this thing that had blocked the heavenly dragon arm. What a terrifying demonic aura, the Hellfire Dragon sword beside him also exclaimed. Its grade isn't any weaker than mine. Kid, you still have such a treasure now. He was too surprised. This spear was the Great Destruction Spear, a treasure from the demonic realm that Lin Xian had obtained. It was also an inherited sacred weapon from the demonic realm, and its power was terrifying. Moreover, it was more suitable for Lin Xian now. Lin Xian was currently cultivating the demonic summoning scripture, the inheritance of a great emperor. It had a monstrous demonic aura. Together with the Great Destruction, its power was multiplied. Hence he was able to block the punch just now. You think too highly of yourself. Do you think that's all I have? Lin Xian held the Hellfire Dragon sword in one hand, and the Great Destruction spear in the other. He brandished the two sacred weapons and charged forward. The Dragon Prince roared, and the two of them started fighting again. This guy actually had two legendary divine weapons. Many people's eyes turned red. Holy weapons of the clan of the Ancients were treasures of the clan of the Ancients. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't be used easily. Even if they were used, it would be by the clan leader or the great elder. There were no young geniuses at all. Unless it was the young clan leader, he might be able to get one. But now Lin Xian had two. And it seemed that he still had a trump card. This battle would be difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Some martial Dao experts sighed. The others also knew, but they wouldn't leave. Even if they fought for a few months, they would still be here to watch. After all, this was a battle between thearchs, a battle between young paragons. At this moment, Sun Qitian turned around. He looked around and looked at Gu Feng, Yi Wudao, and the others. Then he looked at Kuan Pengzi. I can feel your bloodline. You should be a Tharch too, right? Do you dare to exchange a few moves with me? Countless people were shocked. This monkey was too crazy. First he attacked the Dragon Prince, and now he wanted to challenge Kuan Pengzi. The expressions of the people from the heavenly sect changed. An elder said, "You're too presumptuous." Sun Qitian snorted coldly and struck out with his staff, shattering the endless void. The heavenly sect elder's pupils constricted. Previously, they were just watching the battle, but when the attack hit them, he was still terrified. This young man could definitely pose a threat to him. Was he really that old? He was angry and wanted to resist with all his strength. At this moment, a figure walked over. "Elder, you can retreat. I'll fight him." Kuan Pengzi waved his hand, and a terrifying yin and yang qi appeared, forming a shield. It directly blocked the staff. In the next moment he soared into the sky. "If you want to fight, then come. As you wish." "Very well, he's an interesting opponent." Sun Qitian soared into the sky without fear. The surrounding people were stunned. The sky in front of them had been shattered by Lin Xian and the Dragon Prince. A great battle was about to take place in the sky behind them. It was also a battle between thearchs. The two battles were going on at the same time. It was the first time these people had seen such a battle. Even the elders were watching such a battle for the first time. The savage wilderness patriarch laughed loudly. "A battle between thearchs? Very well, inform the Taoist sect to activate the supreme array to protect the spectators. Let these four little guys fight until the sky and earth turn upside down." The order was passed down, and the Taoist sect activated the supreme array to protect the safety of the surrounding spectators. At the same time, they provided a battlefield for the four of them to fight without any scruples. The monkey and Kuan Pengzi also fought. The monkey's iron staff swept in all directions. At the same time, golden flames floated out of his eyes, causing everyone's souls to be terrified. "Martial Path Heavenly Eye." Many people exclaimed. This was a legendary supreme technique. They didn't expect the monkey to be able to use it. However, Kuan Pengzi was still not afraid. A black and white aura flowed around his body. That was the origin aura of heaven and earth. Yin and Yang Qi. At this moment, he seemed to have transformed into a god as he fought. Chapter 50-80. The surrounding spectators looked up at the sky. The two battlefields were equally terrifying. They couldn't see anything at all. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. Countless people were shocked. In the past 5 days, they had witnessed countless ultimate techniques and divine abilities. But now, they realized that the 4 of them were evenly matched. Although sometimes, one of them would be at a disadvantage. Soon a new ultimate technique would appear and turn the situation around. It would be very difficult for anyone to completely suppress the other. In the beginning, Lin Xian's 2 legendary sacred weapons caused the Dragon Prince to be at a disadvantage. At one point he was even in danger. But soon, the Dragon Prince erupted with an extremely powerful might. He used several ultimate techniques and divine abilities one after another. On the 3rd day, he even used the heavenly dragon arm again to turn the situation around. On the 5th day, no one could do anything to the other. The expressions of the people from the Dragon Palace turned ugly. This was the Imperial Prince. How could that Lin Xian contend against him? The faces of the people from the 10,000 Dragons dynasty turned cold. Damn it, they guessed that Lin Xian didn't just obtain the Thearcha's divine ability. Judging from the methods that he had displayed so far, it was very likely that he had obtained the complete Thearcha's ancient scripture. Only the disciple of the Varch could contend against the disciple. Damn it, this kid's luck was actually so good. The others also guessed it and were envious. How many Thearchs had there been since ancient times? Each inheritance was mysterious. The main reason was that most of them were in the hands of the Varch race. No one dared to snatch them. No one could obtain them. Only a few Thearchs didn't pass them down. Their families were lost in the various worlds. But it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to find them. How many tens of thousands of years would there be a person with heaven-defying luck who obtained the inheritance of a Varch? Now, was Lin Xian that person? The Dragon Prince naturally thought of this. He gritted his teeth. I didn't expect you to be so lucky. But so what? I'll let you see the Imperial Prince's true foundation now. He roared angrily. Endless dragon energy appeared in his bloodline. A dragon diagram interweaved in the sky, faintly discernible. A terrifying extreme Tao aura swept out in all directions. At this moment, the array formations of the Tao shook violently as if they couldn't withstand it at all. Not good, it was an extreme weapon, the 10,000 Dragons picture. Countless people were terrified, and they all retreated. Fantasy World Ancestor frowned. Even Savage Desolation Ancestor's expression sank. This guy even took out an extreme-grade weapon? It was likely that even their Tao sect would find it hard to defend against this attack. No, he had to stop the battle. Fantasy World Ancestor also had a serious expression. He was the old ancestor of the Tao sect. With this attack, the Tao sect would definitely be severely injured. However, the elder of the Myriad Dragon dynasty beside him said, "Fellow Taoist, don't worry. The nest of Myriad Dragons will compensate you double for your losses." This was an excellent opportunity for the Dragon Prince to use the 10,000 Dragons picture to kill Lin Xian. How could they allow others to stop them? No matter who it was, they would not be able to stop this battle. Countless people were terrified. Even Sun Qitian and Kun Pengzi stopped fighting. Their eyes were filled with fear. They each took a side and raised their heads to look into the distance. Kun Pengzi frowned. Had the Dragon Prince reached this level? Could it be that Lin Xian was so terrifying that the Dragon Prince had no choice but to use his Tao weapon? Sun Qitian frowned even more. He was not strong enough, but he had to rely on his great Emperor weapon. What a piece of trash. Dragon, if you dare to hurt my brother Lin, I will not let you go. The Savage Wilderness Ancestor also had a serious expression. He planned to save Lin Xian at the critical moment. He would not allow such a person to be killed by an extreme-grade weapon. The Dragon Prince did not care about these people's threats. With his current strength, he could only use a portion of the 10,000 Dragons picture's power. But it was enough. No one could resist the might of an extreme-grade weapon. He raised one hand and the 10,000 Dragons picture spun slowly in his palm. Then he waved it forward. Kid, it's over. The Dragon Prince's body shook with this attack. He felt that most of the energy in his body had been used up. Even if he were to use an extreme weapon, it would be difficult for him to use it. However, its power was much stronger than before. Countless extreme-grade weapons shattered the starry sky and swept through everything. Lin Xian's demonic aura dimmed. The Hellfire Dragon Sword saw this and roared in horror. Damn, what is this kid waiting for? Hurry up and run. No matter how arrogant he was, he did not dare to resist a true extreme-grade weapon. Lin Xian took a deep breath and put away the Great Destruction Spear and the Hellfire Dragon Sword. He stood there without any intention of running away. Was that kid scared out of his wits? Countless people exclaimed. The people of the Dragon Palace sneered. That was for sure. He probably had never seen the might of an extreme-grade weapon. The elder of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty snorted. Everything was over. After killing the opponent, they would get the Great Emperor's inheritance. I wonder which Great Emperor this fellow obtained? Thinking of this, they became excited. If they got it, the 10,000 Dragons dynasty would have 2 Great Emperor's inheritances. They would probably surpass the Kuan-Peng race and the Qilin race. At that time, they would be the true rulers of all the worlds. The 10,000 Dragons picture's dragon aura turned into tens of thousands of dragon shadows. They roared at the sky and came in front of Lin Xian. They enveloped Lin Xian. At the last moment, Lin Xian sighed. With a wave of his hand, a black jar appeared in his hand, bobbing up and down. Countless black runes appeared on it, and vortexes surged out one after another, enveloping his body. Boom. Boom. 10,000 dragons descended, completely enveloping Lin Xian. Was everything over? Countless people were shocked. The expressions of Sun Qitian, savage ancestor, and the others changed drastically. They wanted to attack, but they were stopped by the experts of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty. Get lost! Sun Qitian roared. He was about to attack recklessly. But suddenly, there was a change in front. As the countless dragon silhouettes swept across the sky, a vortex rapidly appeared. At first, it was very small, but in the end it swept across the world as if it was going to devour everything. Everyone thought that it was a universe black hole created by the 10,000 Dragons picture, but later they realized that it was not, because this black vortex was quickly devouring those dragon shadows. In an instant, half of the dragon shadows were swallowed. What was going on? What was this? Could it be that Lin Wudi wasn't dead? Countless people were shocked. They all looked around. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty also narrowed their eyes. Kuan Pengzi's eyes burst out with black and white light. On the other side, Yi Wudao, the dark red dragon, and the others sneered. Trying to kill him with the 10,000 Dragons picture? What a joke. Perhaps it would take 10 peak great sages working together with the myriad dragons portrait. Now, it was impossible for the Dragon Prince alone. This was because Lin Xian also possessed an extreme-grade weapon. The black vortex blocked the attack of the 10,000 Dragons picture, and Lin Xian walked out of the black vortex. Chapter 5081. I've said it before, you can't kill me, even if you use the 10,000 Dragons diagram. Lin Xian's voice shocked countless people. Did Qin Wentian really block it? Did he really block the extreme weapon? Damn it, what was that? Countless experts stared at the black jar. That was... Kuan Pengzi's pupils constricted. He exclaimed. That was the heaven-devouring jar. The heaven-devouring jar? What? The extreme weapon, the heaven-devouring jar? Was it really that thing? That thing was indeed in his hands. Exclamations sounded one after another. The experts of the 10,000 Dragon Court were also shocked. Could it be that this kid had obtained the inheritance of the heaven-devouring Great Emperor? The heaven-devouring Great Emperor was extremely terrifying. He cultivated the devouring technique. It was known as devouring the heavens and earth. He could devour other geniuses to strengthen himself. This was an extremely terrifying Great Emperor. During the era when he rose to power, there were mountains of corpses. It could be said that there were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. The myriad worlds were beaten into despair. In the end, he reached the peak of the martial path and became a great emperor. It was said that in the later years of the heaven-devouring Great Emperor, he wanted to improve further and refined himself. He turned into a heaven-devouring jar. Later on, The heaven-devouring jar disappeared after being devoured and snatched by countless experts. It was said that it appeared in the hands of the heavenly court. However, with the destruction of the heavenly court, it disappeared again. Who would have thought that it would end up in Lin Xian's hands? Was it the complete heaven-devouring jar? The experts of the 10,000 Dragon Court looked over. Kuan Pengzi and the people of the Gu family also looked over. In the end, they realized that it was only half a heaven-devouring jar without a lid. This made them heave a sigh of relief because they were all holding a complete extreme weapon. However, the expressions of the 10,000 Dragon Court's people were still extremely ugly. Even if it was half an extreme weapon, it still had the might of an extreme weapon. More importantly, the two of them were only young powerhouses. Even if they had extreme weapons, they would only be able to use a portion of their strength. Therefore, there wasn't much difference between a complete one and half one. Unless they used their trump cards and used endless resources to revive an extreme weapon. At that time, the 10,000 Dragons diagram would be able to completely crush the heaven-devouring jar. But now they weren't prepared for that. Half of the heaven-devouring jar. The Dragon Prince frowned. He was unconvinced. With a furious roar, he activated the 10,000 Dragons diagram again. With a wave of his hand, 20 storage rings appeared in the air. They all split open, and the power within them was given to the 10,000 Dragons diagram. After the 10,000 dragons obtained the power, they burst forth and crushed forward. Other than my own strength, I also have unlimited resources. The storage ring in my hand. Every single one of them could make a saint go crazy. Do you have any? The Dragon Prince sneered. I can continuously activate the myriad dragon diagram. What about you? You don't have the extra power to control the heaven-devouring jar. So in the end I won this battle. Don't worry, when you die, the sky-devouring jar, your weapon, and your great emperor's inheritance will all be mine. We dragons will make good use of it. You can go to hell in peace. After using the power of 20 storage rings, the power of the 10,000 dragons diagram was simply too terrifying. Everyone felt despair. Lin Xian had a strange expression on his face. Competing with him in terms of resources? If this was the 10,000 dragon dynasty, then he would indeed be inferior to the other party. However, they were currently in the Dao sect, and the other party was unable to borrow the strength of his family. So what if the other party had a lot of storage rings on him? Could they be compared to his sword world? Opening the sword world, Su Chen quickly used the power of the Four-Spirit Valley. With the support of the power, the heaven-devouring jar erupted with an even more dazzling light. A black vortex swept through the 9 heavens, swallowing the heavens and the earth. The light of the 10,000 dragons diagram was swallowed up, and the black vortex even appeared near the Dragon Prince. It wanted to swallow him as well. Damn it! The Dragon Emperor's roar and the roar of 10,000 dragons formed a powerful armor to block it. He really couldn't imagine that the other party actually had so many resources to be able to continuously use the heaven-devouring jar. In that case, it would be difficult to kill the other party this time. It could be said that it was almost impossible. Lin Xian used the heaven-devouring jar to fight against the 10,000 dragons diagram. And then he took out the great dragon sword spirit. He once again absorbed the power of the sword world. He knew that although he had the sword world, he couldn't use it indefinitely. So this time he had to kill him in one strike. With a flash, he used Shadowless Heaven's net and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already behind the Dragon Prince. There was a terrifying sword energy on his body that blocked the might of the extreme Tao. Then he waved the great dragon sword spirit and struck out with the third sword of the Azura sword technique. The Azura sword technique was originally a great emperor's ability, and it was an assassination technique. Coupled with the power of the great dragon sword and the sword world, this sword strike was terrifying to the extreme. The Dragon Prince suddenly turned his head. He discovered that a sword light had slashed through his glabella, wanting to split his body in half. No. He was shocked. Damn it, what kind of aura was this? Why could it threaten him as well? Other than the heaven-devouring jar, did the other party have any other extreme Tao weapons? He roared angrily, wanting to recall the 10,000 dragons diagram to block it. At the same time, his body flew into the sky. However, he was still a step too late. The heaven-devouring jar resisted the 10,000 dragons diagram. Although the Dragon Prince's speed was fast, this sword strike was even faster. After this sword strike, a thunderous sound rang out between heaven and earth. Dragon blood rained down, and each drop of dragon blood carried with it an endless amount of dragon shadows. It pierced through heaven and earth. Many cracks appeared on the Dao Sex Array formation below. They couldn't withstand the power of this dragon blood at all. This was the blood of the Emperor, which contained the bloodline of a great emperor. Could it be that the Dragon Prince was injured? How was this possible? The people of the Dragon Palace roared crazily. They didn't believe it at all. As for Kunpengzi, the Yi family and the Gu family, they also frowned. As members of the Emperor race, they naturally knew how terrifying a great emperor was. Not to mention that the Dragon Prince had already taken out the 10,000 dragons diagram. They couldn't understand why he was still injured. Many people looked at the sky nervously. In the next moment, their pupils constricted. The elders of the 10,000 dragons dynasty soared into the sky. They roared crazily. However, they couldn't get close. The might of the extreme Tao in the sky was too terrifying. Their eyes turned red. Fantasy World Patriarch's scalp went numb in disbelief. As a big shot of the Tao sect, he had experienced many things. It could be said that he had seen all kinds of life and death, but he still couldn't believe it. Because he discovered that the Dragon Prince's body had been split open. That sword strike had almost split him in half. How was this possible? The Dragon Prince was actually severely injured. How did he do it? The Dragon Prince's eyes were also red, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. In the next moment, the 10,000 dragons diagram was summoned back by him, and enveloped his body. His broken body also slowly healed, but there seemed to be a force preventing his wounds from healing. He was dumbfounded and instantly understood. Chapter 5082. What did he have? Countless people were curious. However, the Dragon Prince didn't say anything else. He gritted his teeth and roared. You actually have that thing. He was too shocked. That sword strike just now had brought about a fatal threat to him. However, he was the Emperor's son after all, and his bloodline was extremely powerful. At the critical moment, he still dodged the fatal attack. This sword had split his body open. However, it couldn't take his life. However, this feeling of injury still made him crazy. The other party actually dared to hurt him. He couldn't bear it. However, he also realized what the other party had used to hurt him. A sword. The Dragon Shadow Sword carried an indestructible power. As a dragon, he naturally knew that this was the great dragon sword of the 5 swords in the world. However, only the sword soul was left, and it was still incomparably sharp. The great dragon sword was the treasure that the dragons had been searching for. This was the sword of the world's attack. It was something that belonged to the dragons. However, this thing was too mysterious, and it was even harder to find than an apex weapon. He didn't expect that it would be in the other party's hands. He found it hard to believe. The other party's fortuitous encounter was too good. Half an apex weapon and the great dragon sword soul were enough to block the Real 10,000 Dragons portrait. Moreover, without fully recovering, he was indeed suppressed by the other party. Damn it! He roared angrily. He almost shouted just now. However, he stopped it abruptly. The great dragon sword soul was something that everyone wanted. Once he said it, not only him, but Kunpengzi, the Gu family, and even the other families would want it. Even the Phoenix clan and the Qilin clan would come to snatch it. In that case, the situation would become incomparably troublesome. Therefore, the Dragon Prince didn't say it out loud. He planned to immediately mobilize the power of his family to search for it after returning. He had to kill this kid and obtain all the treasures on him. Damn it, what exactly was that thing? However, the others were frantic with anxiety. They didn't see it clearly, and the Dragon Prince didn't say anything. Other than the Dragon Prince and Lin Xian himself, no one else knew. As expected, other than the dark red divine dragon, Yi Wudao and the others knew. Kunpengzi, Fantasy World Ancestor, and the others also frowned. They were all guessing, but they had no evidence. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty were also shocked. What did the Dragon Prince discover? So shocking. Also, what was that thing? Could it hurt a crown prince? Lin Xian also sighed. That was indeed a good opportunity. His trump card was beyond his opponent's expectations. He launched a sure kill attack, but his opponent still managed to dodge it. At the same time, he also knew that the other party was not any weaker than him. If someone wanted to kill him, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was probably the same if he wanted to kill the other party. In this battle, he could only injure the other party and make a name for himself. Therefore, in order to truly kill a crown prince, one would need to make meticulous arrangements. In fact, they would need to mobilize a lot of forces. It seemed that he had to make a good plan in the future. He would make the dragon prince disappear. He did not attack again. The heaven-swallowing jar returned to his side and floated up and down. The great dragon sword spirit had already returned to his body, and the sword world had also been closed by him. He was like a sword god, standing above the 9 heavens. On the other side, the dragon prince was covered by the 10,000 dragons picture, and his extreme Tao aura was resisting the great dragon sword soul. His expression was extremely cold. The people from the 10,000 dragon court also rose into the air. She came to his side and protected him. Prince, are you all right? Just now they were extremely nervous. If anything happened to the dragon prince here, even if they died 100 times, it would not be enough to atone for their sins. It's nothing. I was careless and got injured. However, it's impossible for him to kill me. Let's go. The dragon prince turned around and left. The people from the 10,000 dragon court followed closely behind. A cold voice sounded. Lin Xian, this battle is not over. The next time I see you, I will definitely destroy your soul. With just you? Lin Xian sneered. This time, you escaped with injuries. Next time, I will definitely cut you down with my sword. The dragon prince was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He flew even faster. Soon, he disappeared into the sky. Countless people were shocked. Did the dragon prince fail? Although they did not dare to make a final conclusion, the dragon prince was indeed at a disadvantage in this battle. He was injured by Lin Xian. The difference between the two was obvious. They sucked in a breath of cold air. That was a crown prince. Moreover, he was the crown prince of the dragons. His strength and bloodline were terrifying. He definitely stood at the peak of the universe. But he was still injured. How terrifying was Lin Xian? They did not dare to imagine. Lin Xian looked around and said coldly, "Now that I have been crowned king, is there anyone who is not convinced?" The world was silent. Even the monarch races were silent. No one was convinced. Lin Xian had already used his strength to prove it. Great. The savage wilderness ancestor laughed. I was right about you. Lin Xian landed and said, "Thank you for your support, senior." Then, the group of people returned. The fantasy world ancestor looked at Lin Xian's back with a complicated expression. The stars in his eyes were extinguished. This time he had chosen to support the dragon prince. But the dragon prince had actually lost. Did he make the wrong choice? He shook his head. Although he had lost, the dragon prince had not truly lost. The dragon prince's trump cards and strength would soon be restored. The true battle of the Emperor's Road had just begun. Among these people, only one could reach the end. He believed that the dragon prince had a higher chance of winning. But what exactly did the other party use in the end? He still did not understand. Let's go too. Kuren Pengzi also left. The last attack was also a threat to him. He had to increase his strength. Originally, he thought that his opponents were only a few princes. The others were nothing to be afraid of. Now he understood that the universe was vast and had endless secrets and ancient inheritances. Even if he was not a prince, as long as he had enough talent and luck, he would be able to compete with them. He might even surpass them. After all, those who had become great emperors in the past had all risen from the dust. They could not be careless at all. It seemed that it was time to cultivate and break through to the great sage. Now that these top geniuses were at the peak of the sage realm, who could be the first to break through to the great sage? Then, who would be able to stand above the others and even take advantage of this opportunity to kill those powerful enemies? Therefore, he had to be the first to break through to the great sage. Let's go too. Yi Wudao turned around and left. The people from the Gu family also left. The other remote antiquity families also left. Some were excited, some were amazed, some were excited, and some were in despair. The people from the Purple Mansion sect looked extremely solemn. The strength that Lin Xian had displayed now made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. Once such a person completely matured, would they be able to fight against him in the future? It seemed like they had to contact the Thousand Dragon Court. Both sides had joined forces to kill each other as soon as possible. The Blue Clan, on the other hand, was full of despair. Previously, in order to please the Thousand Dragon Court, they had frantically suppressed the Divine Union. They had even wanted to kill Lin Xian. Now that Lin Xian had been crowned king and injured the Dragon Prince, he stood at the peak. Chapter 5083. Lin Xian's coronation shocked many people. Some families were ready to take action. On the other hand, the Divine Union was very excited when they returned. They weren't the only ones. The sects and families that supported the Divine Union were also very excited. Lin Xian's current performance had exceeded their expectations. If Lin Xian could take another step forward and reach the Sage grade one day, then these families would undergo earth-shattering changes. They would be able to stand at the peak within 10,000 years. How could they not be excited? News of what had happened spread quickly throughout the ancient city. On top of that, it also spread to other cities and regions with the Holy Abyss ancient city as the center. In an instant, the world was shocked. The names of Lin Wudi and Mad God once again resounded through the 9 heavens. Lin Xian was invited to the core region by the Savage Wilderness Patriarch as a guest. He chatted with the old man for a long time. The old man said that he would always support them, and even support Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon to avenge Long Guang. Lin Xian said, "Senior, don't worry. One day, I will personally kill the Dragon Prince and avenge Long Guang." He just needed a good plan. The Dragon Prince could already use the 10,000 Dragons portrait now. It wouldn't be easy to kill him with an extreme weapon. The Savage Wilderness Patriarch said, "There will always be a chance. You don't have to think about anything now. The most important thing is to raise your cultivation base as much as possible. Strive to enter the Great Sage grade as soon as possible. Now you, the Dragon Prince, Kuan Pengzi, Yi Wudao, Gu Feng, and the others are all at the peak of the Sage Ruler grade. One more step and you will be a great sage." If anyone could enter one step ahead, they would seize the opportunity and have the strength to surpass the others. Break through to the Great Sage grade. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He had to hurry. If he was the first to break through to the Great Sage grade, his chances of killing the Dragon Prince would be much higher. However, if the other party broke through first, they would be in danger. Lin Xian nodded. "Senior, don't worry. I will do my best to break through during this period." The Savage Great Sage said that you have to be careful of the 10,000 Dragons Court. Their Dragon Prince was defeated, and he would not let it go easily. Furthermore, I believe that the Great Emperor's inheritance that you displayed also had many weapons and trump cards. He had already been targeted by many people. Once you leave the Dao sect and the Sacred Abyss Tower, these people will act without restraint. At that time, it wouldn't just be the younger generation. Countless experts of the older generation would make a move. The sage and even the Lord of the Great Sage would take action. They were all existences that stood at the pinnacle. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He naturally knew how terrifying those people were. Back then, a peak great sage was enough to scare the monkey away. If a few more of them came, they might really be able to kill them. Then, should he not go out during this period of time and cultivate in silence? At their level, it was impossible to cultivate in silence. I have an idea. Although it's dangerous, it's much safer than staying here. Senior, please speak. You should know that the entire buried Emperor Star is divided into many regions, collectively known as the 4 Seas and 8 Desolates. The continent we are on is called the Distant Light Continent. Apart from that, there are other continents. Now, I will send you to the other continent to train. Although there are many people in that place who have heard of your name, not many have actually seen you. It will be much safer for you to train outside. Leave this place temporarily? Lin Xian thought about it and nodded. All right. Anyway, he had already fought with the Dragon Prince. Now that they were evenly matched, it wouldn't be easy to kill the other party here. It was better to go to other places to increase his strength, and then come back to kill the other party. This way he could avoid danger. He said, "Senior, please give me a few days to prepare. This time, I want to bring a few friends with me." "No problem. Go and prepare. When you are ready, take the token and come to me." Savage Ancestor gave Lin Xian a token. Lin Xian left and went to prepare. On the other continent was a land of flames. The flames here were extremely terrifying. Even the great sage was terrified here. At this moment, there were a few statues in the flames. They were formed by the law of fire. They were even more terrifying than the flames. Under these flame statues, there was a figure sitting cross-legged. It was a man with short fiery red hair. He was wearing a flame robe and had an extremely handsome face. At this moment, there were countless Qilin phantoms circling around his hand. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked over from afar. This middle-aged man was wearing battle armor and carrying a battle saber on his back. His appearance was like the descent of a fire god. Countless black cracks appeared in the surrounding void. It couldn't withstand his power at all. His speed was very fast. In a few steps, he arrived in front of him. Then he stopped. "Qilin son, there is news from Holy Abyss Ancient City," the armored man said in a deep voice. If there were other people here, they would be shocked. Because this man was none other than the emperor of the Qilin clan. The Qilin son. The man in battle armor was a powerhouse from the Kirin clan. His strength was very terrifying. Hearing the armored man's words, the Qilin son opened his eyes. There were divine flames flickering in his eyes. He asked, "How is it? Has the Dragon Prince been crowned?" The armored man nodded. "The Dragon Prince has been crowned." The Qilin son sighed. "What a pity. I used poison to plot against him. I thought it could seriously injure him and kill him. Even his cultivation was crippled." He thought about how he launched a war against the spirit realm and took away the divine tree of life. Not only did his cultivation recover, but he also became a king. But it was fine. At least he was delayed by more than 10 years. It could be considered a result. The Qilin son nodded. Back then, the Qilin clan was the one who poisoned the Dragon Prince. However, the armored man in front of him had an extremely solemn expression, as if there was something else. The Qilin son asked, "What's wrong? Is there anything else?" The armored man said, "It's not just the Dragon Prince's coronation. There is something more important." There was news from Holy Abyss Ancient City that when the Dragon Prince was crowned, another person reached the peak of the Holy Abyss Tower. He was also crowned. Another person was crowned a king? Who was it? This time, the Qilin son was extremely surprised. Were there any other princes heading there? The armored man shook his head. "It's not a prince." The other party had obtained the great emperor's inheritance and half an extreme weapon. It could be said that he was a top genius. A young powerhouse? The Qilin son was surprised, then asked, "What's his name?" Lin Wudi, Mad God. These were his 2 titles. How arrogant. How dare he use invincible as his name? How could the Dragon Prince tolerate it? As a prince, the Qilin son naturally knew that every prince was arrogant and unruly. They didn't put anything in their eyes. When the Dragon Prince was crowned, someone else was crowning as well. This was a challenge to the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince would never allow it. The Dragon Prince was naturally angry, and a shocking battle broke out between the two of them. In the end, they even used an extreme weapon. However, in the end, the Dragon Prince was injured and his body was almost split open. What? The Qilin son was stunned. Even if Lin Wudi was a young powerhouse, if he really wanted to compete with the Dragon Prince, he still favored the Dragon Prince. However, the outcome was beyond his expectations. Chapter 5084. The news was absolutely true and had spread throughout the entire Holy Abyss Ancient City. As for how he did it, no one knew. Apart from Lin Wudi and the Dragon Prince, no one else knew. A mysterious trump card? The Qilin son narrowed his eyes. Interesting. He hoped that he could fight with this guy one day. Is there anything else? The Qilin son asked. The armored man said, Yes. Apart from Lin Wudi, another young expert has appeared. First he fought with the Dragon Prince. Then he fought with the Kuenping son. He was not at a disadvantage at all. Some people speculated that he was also a Arch. Who was this guy? The Qilin's son frowned. The situation in Holy Abyss Ancient City was changing too quickly. Two young giants had appeared. I don't know. It's said that the other party is a monkey who can use an iron rod to sweep the land. He's very strong and has the martial Dao Heavenly Eye. A monkey. The Qilin's son's eyes lit up as he recalled carefully. He shook his head. I don't know. Check on the monkey. If necessary, you can use the power of the entire family. He had to figure out its origin. At least he had to know which Arch his father was. The Qilin's son was born in the era when his father, the Qilin Emperor, swept the world. After that he was sealed and had been in a deep slumber until now. Therefore he had no idea what had happened in the tens of thousands of years. He could only check on it. However, as long as it was a Arch, he should be able to find out. It seemed that apart from his old rivals, a new young giant had appeared. He had to hurry up. He had to prepare well. Next would be the battle of the Supremes. Who could become the #1 young Supremes? Who would have a high chance of becoming a Arch? Every Arch and princess was an enemy. Sooner or later they would fight. Once they met, he would not hold back. Dao Sect. After Lin Xian returned to the Divine Union, everyone cheered. During this time, the monkey and Yi Wudao also came to see him. The group drank and chatted. The monkey and Yi Wudao were already familiar with each other. They also exchanged blows to test each other. The monkey said, Brother Yi, you're also very strong. With a strong physique and Arch scriptures, you'll also be a young supremacy in the future. Brother Monkey, you're the powerful one. Yi Wudao looked forward to it. The monkey's strength and arrogance, as well as the fact that he dared to attack the two imperial princes, had shocked and impressed him. On the other side by Susu and Fu Hongya. The dark red dragon and the others looked at Lin Xian. By Susu, speaking of which, are you really going to leave this place? Lin Xian nodded. Last time, the dragon prince was able to attack Long Guang, and this time, he can attack me. Therefore I have to leave for a period of time. I will return only after I break through and become a great sage. I also have to hurry up and cultivate. The dark red dragon clenched its dragon claws. I have to break through as soon as possible and beat up that dragon prince. Little martial uncle, we'll go with you. Fu Hongya, Lu Yuan, and the others asked. Lin Xian shook his head. Stay here and cultivate well. The Divine Union needs someone to preside over it. Wushuang City has just been re-established, so all of this needs to be presided over. Susu, I'll leave the Divine Union to you. Hong Yi, Lu Yuan, the two of you will continue to manage Peerless City. Don't worry, Bai Susu said. Her father was Elder Bai, so if she stayed here she would be protected. No one would dare to touch her. As for the dark red dragon and the toad, they would leave with Lin Xian. Brother Ho, I'm preparing to leave. What about you? Are you coming with me? Monkey said. No, I still have many places to explore. Brother Lin, we will meet again eventually. At that time, we will see who is stronger. Lin Xian smiled. He said, but before that, I have something to do. Brother Monkey, are you interested? Sun Qitian was surprised. Let's hear it. Lin Xian said, besides the Dragon Prince, there is another genius in the Dragon Palace, Long Ao. Although I destroyed his Dao heart previously, he didn't die. I'm guessing that the incident with Long Guang was also caused by someone from the Dragon Sea tribe. Therefore, I don't intend to let him go. I'm going to kill him. Sun Qitian was interested. Count me in. Yi Wudao said. I want to take a look too. The dark red dragon and the toad also jumped over. Good thing, let's go too. Lin Xian said. Me, Brother Monkey, and Wudao, the three of us will go. Just wait for the good news. All right, damn it, this emperor will definitely catch up to you. There was still a gap between the dark red dragon and Lin Xian, Monkey, and the others. However, with the dark red dragon's talent and bloodline, he would become a big shot sooner or later. It seemed that he had to use that power. The dark red dragon's eyes burst out with light. He turned and entered the palace in the distance. What was he busy with? Lin Xian, Monkey, and Wu Dao. The three of them were ready to move. Lin Xian took out the Void Beast. At this moment, the Void Beast was much more powerful than it had been before, because Lin Xian directly placed him in the sword world for him to cultivate. The Void Beast was like a treasure in the sword world. The power of the sword world provided him, and he had long broken through to become the great sage. At this moment, his void power was not weaker than the Gu family's powerhouses. Lin Xian had already sent people to keep an eye on Long Ao's whereabouts, and he knew that after the people of the Dragon Sea clan came to the ancient city, they temporarily stayed in the Blue clan. In other words, Long Ao was also in the Blue clan's territory. Thinking of this, he patted the Void Beast. Go to the Blue clan. The Void Beast's body swayed, and a terrifying spatial power enveloped the three of them. Then it disappeared. Blue clan. At this moment, they were entertaining a group of important guests. They were the powerhouses from the Dragon Sea. The patriarch of the Blue clan personally accompanied them. The Dragon Sea Lord also came. His expression was not very good. The Dragon Prince's injury made his heart heavy. More importantly, his son Long Ao's Dao heart had been destroyed by someone. Now he was almost like a cripple. However, his cultivation was not crippled. As long as he could rebuild his Dao heart, he would immediately become a top powerhouse. So there was still hope. Lin Wudi. Thinking of this name, the Dragon Sea Lord's expression turned ugly. It was the other party who destroyed Long Ao's Dao heart. He stood up and said with a few elders of the Dragon Sea, "We are going to make a trip to the 10,000 Dragons Court to see if there is any way. Long Ao will temporarily stay in the Blue clan. I hope you can take good care of him. Fellow Daoist Long, don't worry. Young Master Long Ao is here. I guarantee that nothing will happen to him. If anything happens to him, you can ask me," the patriarch of the Blue clan said confidently. What could go wrong in their headquarters? And no one would dare to make a move now, right? All right, you all protect Long Ao. After he finished saying those words, the Dragon Sea Master left with the two elders. The rest of the Dragon Tribe experts of Dragon Sea stayed behind. The patriarch of the Blue clan continued to entertain them warmly. Although the Blue clan was powerful, they were still much weaker than the dragons. The relationship between the Dragon Sea and the 10,000 Dragons Court was even more unusual. Pleasing the people of the Dragon Sea was equivalent to pleasing the 10,000 Dragons Court. The patriarch of the Blue clan naturally understood this logic. He said, "Don't worry, I know that young Master Long Ao was injured by that Lin Wudi. Our Blue clan will send people to keep an eye on him." "Do you want to die? Men, kill him," he roared crazily. It was this brat in front of him who had caused him to become like this. He had to kill him. However, Leaf Dao Denier shook his head and said, "It's useless. You can't make a sound. Damn it. Leaf Dao Denier, are you going to help this brat? Do you know the consequences of offending me? The Dragon Prince has been crowned. If you offend me, the Dragon Prince will not let you go." Hearing this, Leaf Dao Denier snorted coldly. Lin Xian also had a strange expression. He said, "Didn't anyone tell you about the coronation? What could happen during the coronation? The Dragon Prince would definitely be crowned successfully." Long Ao roared crazily. Sun Qitian snorted coldly. "What an idiot. Is it the coronation? I fought with the Dragon Prince, and the other party didn't do anything. Isn't he unable to do anything to me?" Hearing this, Long Ao went crazy. The monkey in front of him could compete with the Dragon Prince? Moreover, it sounded like the two sides were evenly matched. What a joke. The Dragon Prince was an emperor. What was this monkey? Could he compare to the emperor? The other party was crazy. Sun Qitian snorted coldly. "Not to mention me, Brother Lin is even more amazing. He fought with the Dragon Prince and directly injured him." "What did you say?" Long Ao really went crazy this time. Lin Xian injured the Dragon Prince? Damn it, how could it be? No one told him. He didn't believe it. These people were all liars. They were all here to break his Dao heart. In fact, it was normal for no one to tell him. Previously, Long Ao's confidence had collapsed because of the blow and setback. If he was told that Lin Xian had defeated the Dragon Prince, then the other party's confidence would probably never recover for the rest of his life. Therefore, the Dragon Sea Lord sealed the news and didn't allow anyone to tell Long Ao. Now that Long Ao heard it, he went crazy. Lin Xian looked at the other party and shook his head coldly. You are really miserable. What's the difference between you and trash now? Let me tell you another piece of news. The current me has already been crowned as a king. My current status and strength are not weaker than the Dragon Prince at all. Do you still dare to be my enemy? Long Ao's body trembled. He roared crazily. Impossible. Liar, you want to destroy my Dao heart. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Ignorant ant, I'll let you feel it. It released a trace of aura. At the same time, its eyes had a terrifying light. It looked forward. At this moment, Long Ao's body trembled. He realized that the person he was facing didn't seem to be a young man. Instead, it was a great emperor, a high and mighty god. This was impossible. He was terrified. He had felt this feeling before on the Dragon Prince's body. It made him despair and unable to resist. Now he felt it again on the other party's body? Could it be that this kid was really on par with the Dragon Prince? No. He was crazy. At this moment, Sun Qitian also walked out. His body also emitted a pressure. Long Ao spat out a mouthful of blood. This force made him unable to resist, and he could only look up. This monkey also had the aura of a crown prince. Damn these two young sovereigns. Even the aura of Yi Wudao's body had become terrifying, far surpassing his. Long Ao was completely crazy. Previously he didn't take Yi Wudao and Lin Xian seriously. But now the gap between the two was too big. He couldn't accept it at all. Puff. I don't believe it. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. The light in his eyes. Before disappearing, he was angered to death. Was he dead? Lin Xian was taken aback as well. This fellow was really petty. He could be angered to death. Sun Qitian also sensed it and shook his head. His soul had disappeared. What a piece of trash. Yi Wudao also frowned. Long Ao had always been smooth sailing and hadn't experienced any major setbacks. But right now he was going to take the other party's life. Well, it saved us the trouble of doing it. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the power of reincarnation enveloped the other party's body. Then he was taken away. With a flash, the void beast appeared, enveloping them and teleporting them away. At the same time, at the place where the Dragon Sea clan worshipped soul jade tablets. In front of them, a soul jade tablet cracked and shattered. The faces of the Dragon Sea clan changed. What was going on? Chapter 5086. Such a change stunned the people of the Dragon Sea clan. Their expressions changed drastically as they quickly informed the Dragon Sea Lord. These people moved quickly. On the other side, those people in the Blue Clan's main hall were stunned. Who is it? Angry shouts rang out one after another. Then soul power that blotted out the sky and covered the earth charged forward. The surrounding void kept shattering. Especially the body of the dragons. An extremely terrifying aura emerged. The people of the Blue Clan were shocked because the one who attacked wasn't Long Yi, but a young man beside him. They didn't expect the dragons to have such a terrifying expert. The genius of the dragons said coldly, "Come out, or I'll tear you to pieces." In the next moment, a sneer rang out in the void. "You don't even know where I am, and you dare to say such big words?" The void cracked open, and a few figures walked out. "It's you." The surrounding people were stunned. They saw a familiar figure. Lin Xian Lin Wudi. "Damn it, how dare you come here? What do you want?" Angry shouts rang out one after another. The people of the Blue Clan were shocked. They didn't expect that they didn't have any news of the other party's arrival. Previously, they had boasted to the Dragon Sea clan that as long as the other party left the Dao sect, they would be the first to know. Now the other party's actions had slapped them in the face. The young man with the appearance of the dragons also had a cold light in his eyes. She looked young because of the pills she had taken and the secret technique she had cultivated. His real age was no longer young. Although he couldn't be considered an elder, he could be considered a member of the younger generation. According to his identity, he was Long Ao's uncle. At this moment, he looked at Lin Xian in shock. Was this the person who had been crowned king? An existence that could contend against the dragon emperor? The power of the other party's body seemed to have solidified his dragon blood. Too strong. However, an extremely sharp killing intent burst out from his eyes. He wasn't from the younger generation, and his strength couldn't be measured by the younger generation. Therefore, he was confident that he could defeat the other party, and even suppress the other party. If he did it, then the Dragon Prince would definitely thank him. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Linwoody, there was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. There was no door to hell, but you came in. Now kneel and accept your death. As he spoke, he sent a palm strike over. This strike shook heaven and earth, turning into a great mountain that descended from the sky. His face was filled with flames that reached the heavens, biting cold. And with just you? Lin Xian's eyes were filled with disdain. Even Long Huangzi was defeated by me, let alone you. With a wave of his sleeve, countless sword chi flew out and turned into a terrifying sea of sword chi. Every sword chi was extremely sharp. The monstrous sword chi seemed to be able to tear the entire world apart. An earth-shattering sound rang out. Countless people were shocked. Countless arrays lit up in the hall to resist this power. The people from the Blue Clan had cold looks on their faces. They prepared to attack together. However, Long Yi waved his hand to stop him. There was no need to worry. The one who attacked was not from the younger generation. He was Long Ao's uncle, so he believed in his strength. So that was the case. The people from the Blue Clan laughed. For such a person, the others had cultivated for thousands of years. Coupled with the bloodline of the dragons, they would definitely be able to suppress Lin Wudi. After the attack, Yi Wudao looked at the battlefield and narrowed his eyes. This person was not ordinary. Monkey, who was beside him, snorted coldly. It was nothing. The blood chi in his body was at least 4,000 years old. He was not from the younger generation. Otherwise, he would have been killed by this punch. Kid, you're interesting. You can actually take my move. The man shouted coldly. Then try this move of mine again. He waved his fists, turning them into a dragon head that charged over. He wanted to tear the sword chi that filled the sky. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light as he snorted coldly. His palm turned into a demonic seal. Demonic seal. The black seal smashed down and shattered. The void. The dragon head was smashed into pieces. Not only that, Long Ao's uncle's body shook, and in the next moment he was torn apart. His soul was also torn into pieces in an instant. A miserable cry rang out, and the surrounding people were stunned. What was going on? Was this person dead? Impossible. The other elders of the dragons suddenly stood up, each of them dumbfounded. The people of the Blue Clan were also dumbfounded. Even Long Yi was stunned. He knew the strength of the person who attacked, and it was definitely far beyond the younger generation. But now he was insta-killed by someone using a large square seal. Could it be that the gap was really that big? Or was it that they were careless and underestimated the enemy? If it was the second, then they could still accept it. But if the gap was really too big, then they could not accept it. How strong was this Lin Wudi? Such an ant was worthy of fighting with him? Lin Xian retracted the demonic seal and said indifferently. His gaze swept in all directions. Those who were enveloped by his gaze felt their scalps go numb, and one by one they kept retreating. This gaze seemed to want to split them in half. The people of the dragons gritted their teeth. Long Yi's face was even more solemn. Previously, they were still dissatisfied with the Dragon Prince's injury and defeat. But now, they finally knew that the person in front of them did not rely on luck, but true strength. The other party's strength was beyond their imagination. What are you doing here? The leader of the Blue Clan shouted coldly. Lin Xian said, I'm here to inform you that Long Ao has been sent to hell by me. What? The surrounding people were stunned, and the faces of the Blue Clan's people changed drastically. When the Dragon Sea Lord left, he specially instructed them to take good care of Long Ao. They agreed confidently because this was their base camp. No one could come here to hurt Long Ao. But now Lin Xian actually told them that Long Ao had fallen. This was impossible. The people of the Blue Clan roared crazily and quickly went to investigate. Soon the news spread out. Not good. young Master Long Ao had fallen. When these words came out, the people of the dragons went crazy, and the people of the Blue Clan despaired. Long E was furious and shouted, "You're courting death." Long Ao's Dao heart was destroyed, but there was still a possibility of recovery. But now everything was over. He could not bear it. The wrath of the dragon, the roar of the sea. With a roar, the entire hall turned into an ocean. A huge whirlpool of seawater directly enveloped Lin Xian. In the whirlpool, 36 dragon shadows appeared, forming a power that was enough to destroy everything. The first move was a fatal blow, which was enough to show how angry Long E was. "Want to kill me? With just you?" Lin Xian's eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying light, and monstrous flames appeared on his body. He used the 9-yang divine body to the extreme, burning for me. With a furious roar, the phantoms of 9 suns enveloped down. They bombarded the seawater, and the seawater quickly evaporated. Chapter 50-87. Long Yi was shocked. He couldn't imagine that the other party's flames would be so terrifying. To be able to easily block his ultimate skill. What shocked him even more was that the other party's sword was invincible. Even he was startled by this. Subconsciously, they dodged to the side. He dodged the sword. However, his expression became unsightly. He dodged, indicating that he was afraid of the other party. Sure enough, Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. "Long Hai, even the older generation can't do it. Damn brat, you're courting death." Long Yi snorted coldly. "I'm not good at this kind of ultimate skill. I'll let you know how powerful I am." His eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying light of the sea. Sea dragon eyes. A pair of eyes that were different. Everyone felt the suppression of their souls. What a terrifying soul force. This was an eye technique. Long Yi was an eye technique expert. Was he going to use such an eye technique to instantly kill the other party? Sensing that extremely powerful eye technique, Lin Xian's expression was strange. Eye technique? He wasn't weak either. His eye technique was the heavenly secret divine eye. He had absorbed enough reincarnation power in hell, and now it had become terrifying. "Fine, I'll let you know what a true divine eye is." Lin Xian's eyes flashed with an extremely terrifying golden light. The moment this golden gaze appeared, it swept across the void. Everyone was once again struck by fear. The people of the Blue Clan were also shocked. They didn't expect that other than his strong physique, his eye technique was also so terrifying. Behind him, the monkey felt this power and laughed. "Brother Lin's eye technique isn't weaker than my martial Dao heavenly eye at all. Humph, I think this dragon's people are going to be unlucky." The reincarnation power in Lin Xian's eyes transformed into a huge mountain and suppressed the blue sea in front of him. The two eye techniques collided in the air, erupting with an extremely terrifying aura. "Retreat." The people of the Blue Clan quickly retreated and tried to block. This invisible force, even a formation might not be able to block it. Many people's blood boiled. Some people's faces turned pale and directly fainted. There were also some who vomited blood. Their faces were filled with fear. The patriarch of the Blue Clan stared at the sky. He didn't know what was going on. Could this move kill Lin Wudi? There were screams in the sky. The patriarch of the Blue Clan was overjoyed. Great, Lin Wudi was injured. But soon he realized that it wasn't. Lin Xian stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes shone with a piercingly cold light, making him look like a god. The one who screamed was Long Yi. How was this possible? The patriarch of the Blue Clan? Long Yi was a true peerless expert of the Dragon Clan. He had used his ultimate eye technique, but he was still injured. How was this possible? Long Yi also did not dare to believe it. However, the power contained within that mountain peak was extremely frightening. It was as if he wanted to reincarnate his soul. He was injured and kept vomiting blood. He was really crazy. Could it be that the absolute art that the other party had obtained was the reincarnation emperor? But that shouldn't be the case. The emperor's divine ability that the other party had used before all carried extremely strong demonic qi. It should be from the demon realm. But why would the other party use such a terrifying eye technique? Did this person have any weaknesses? Ant. Even the prince of the dragons was defeated by me. Do you think you can fight against me? Long Yi roared. He turned to look at the patriarch of the Blue Clan and shouted crazily. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and mobilize all the power of your clan to take him down. Don't kill him. I want him alive. I want to find out the secret of his body. The young man in front of them had too many secrets. They had to figure it out. The patriarch of the Blue Clan came back to his senses. He roared at the sky and attacked. He attacked even more aggressively. However, spatial power appeared around Lin Xian and the others, and their bodies slowly grew fainter. Did they want to leave? At this moment, another powerful expert attacked from afar. The people of the Blue Clan were really angry. They sealed the world in ice. Lin Xian's face was gloomy. You guys don't hold back. Lin Xian attacked with the heaven swallowing jar. A black vortex swept forward. The monkey roared angrily, and his iron rod soared into the sky. It turned into millions of miles and shattered the void. Yi Wudao attacked with the phantom of an immortal king. His fists swept in all directions. The palaces shattered. The three of them were really too strong. They all used emperor-level divine abilities. The sky fell and the earth cracked, blocking the attacks in the distance. At the same time, their figures disappeared. At this moment, several terrifying peak great sage of the Blue Clan arrived. They smashed the void, wanting to stop them. But it was too late. Damn it, did they let him escape? The Blue Clan roared crazily. The four peak great sage attacked together. However, not long after, they returned, shaking their heads. That brat used the power of space to escape. What was going on? The patriarch of the Blue Clan was also surprised. Could it be that the Gu clan was secretly helping him? Long Yi roared crazily. No matter who it was, they had to kill him. Lin Wudi Monkey Yi Wudao, I won't let you off. Our Dragon Sea clan will let you know what despair is. When the Blue Clan heard this, they sighed in their hearts. Some people shook their heads. Although the Dragon Sea clan was strong, were these three weak? Lin Xian and the monkey were definitely at the emperor level. Yi Wudao didn't use his full strength, but he also cultivated an emperor's scripture. Moreover, Yi Wudao had a great emperor's family behind him. Would the Dragon Sea clan really dare to start an all-out war with the other party? So this time, Long Ao had died for nothing. Quickly send a message to the Dragon Sea clan master. The news spread out in an instant. The Dragon Sea clan master in the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty quickly returned after receiving the news. After returning, he roared at the sky. Damn it, Long Ao had died. Even his corpse was gone. It was taken away by the other party. Kill. He led the experts of the Dragon Sea clan and quickly charged toward the Dao sect. At this moment, everyone in Holy Abyss City looked up. Heavens! Were the dragons going to start a war with the Dao sect? Hold it right there. What do you want? The people of the Dao sect frowned. The other party was brimming with killing intent, directly charging into their path. Was he not putting them in his eyes? Although they had the support of the old ancestor, it didn't mean that the dragons were above them. Where was Lin Xian? Tell him to come out and die. The Dragon Sea clan master roared. In the ancient city, countless people had rushed over to watch. When they heard this, they were even more shocked. Lin Xian. The other party was here for Lin Xian. Could it be that the Dragon Prince wanted to kill Lin Xian? The elders of the Dao sect frowned. Lin Xian was equally important. He had the support of an old ancestor. Naturally, they wouldn't let the other party get hurt. Why are you looking for Lin Xian? I want him dead. I want him to go to the 18 levels of hell. The Dragon Sea clan master roared. Chapter 5088. When the people of the Dao heard this, they frowned even more. He wanted to kill Lin Xian? It was even more impossible for them to let him enter. Whoever stops me will go to hell. An extremely terrifying killing intent burst forth from Long High Lord's body and swept through the 9 heavens. Everyone's faces changed. The people of the Dao were also facing a great enemy. Do you want to start a war with the Dao sect? How about starting a war? Long High Lord was incomparably domineering. Behind him was the 10,000 Dragon Court and the Dragon Prince. He was fearless of everything. But at this moment, The void broke open and a cold shout rang out. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Then a fist punched out, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. In the distance, the people watching the battle trembled. It was too terrifying. It was another peak great sage. Long High Lord roared and struck out with a monstrous dragon claw to fight against it. The two collided and the power dissipated in the sky at the same time. Long High Lord's blood boiled, and an extremely terrifying light burst forth from his eyes. He stared at the front with a death stare. A pair of large hands tore open the void, and the savage wilderness ancestor walked out. If you dare to take another step forward, don't blame me for smashing you into pieces. Savage wilderness ancestor was incomparably domineering. Firstly, this was the territory of the Tao, and the people brought by the other party were not enough to look at. Secondly, although both parties were at the peak of the great sage, he had been in this realm for many years. The other party was still far from being comparable to him. Long High Lord was so angry that he vomited blood. As the leader of a race, when had he been looked down upon by others like this? But he also knew that this was not a place for him to be impudent. He said coldly, Lin Xian killed my son Long Ao. Long Ao is also a prince of your Tao. Aren't you going to ask about it? Lin Xian has already broken the rules. I cannot do anything, but your Tao sect has to punish him. The moment these words came out, the surrounding people were shocked. It couldn't be, right? There was actually such a thing? It was too unbelievable. Long Ao's Tao heart had been crippled by Lin Xian, and now he was killed by Lin Xian. No wonder Long High Lord was so angry. The savage lord said coldly, Do you have any proof for your words? Dragon Sea Master said, Of course there is. Have Lin Xian come out. I will confront him. You're too late. Lin Xian has already left the Tao. Left? Did he run away out of guilt? Where did he go? Or do you want to protect him? Dragon Sea Master roared furiously. The savage lord snorted coldly. What? Are you doubting me? His body exuded an extremely terrifying power that caused the surrounding sky to crumble and the earth to crack. The members of the dragon tribe also began to tremble in fear. This aura was really too terrifying. He was above them. It made it impossible for them to block. Clan leader, the other party is too powerful. Why don't we leave first and ask old ancestor Fantasy World to investigate? Someone beside him reminded him. Dragon Sea Lord's face was cold. He waved his sleeve and turned to leave. After returning, he invited old ancestor Fantasy World. The answer the Fantasy World ancestor gave him was that the Tao sect could no longer sense Lin Xian's aura. He was nowhere to be seen in the entire Holy Yuan ancient city. They naturally believed old ancestor Fantasy World's words. Dragon Sea Lord roared. Damn it, he actually left? He must have used the teleportation array in the Tao. Quickly go and investigate. Even if he fled to the ends of the earth, I will find him and suppress him. Dragon Sea's people moved quickly. A few elders of the Dragon Sea clan rushed over to inform them. However, they discovered that the Dragon Sea Master had already received the news. Furthermore, to their astonishment, the Dragon Sea Master had already received the news. Dragon Sea Lord didn't catch the enemy at all. He was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. They were dumbfounded. After Lin Xian and the others killed Long Ao, they left the Blue Clan. After leaving, he left with Monkey, Yi Wu Dao, and the others. They would meet again after breaking through to the Great Sage. Then he teleported back to the Divine Union, and brought the Toad and the Dark Red Dragon to find the Savage Lord. He directly used the super teleportation array, and left this continent. Underworld. Undead race. On this day, countless powerhouses moved out. Their expressions were solemn, and their eyes seemed to be filled with awe and excitement. Is he here? Someone whispered. An elder nodded his head. Soon. After about half a day, a low voice rang out in the distance. The people of the undead race all looked up at the sky. The clan leader of the undead race even personally welcomed him. Behind him stood many elders of the undead race. If the other families and sects of the underworld saw such a grand scene, they would definitely be shocked. As an ancient race, the undead race was extremely powerful. Who were they welcoming now? A war chariot descended from the sky. The war chariot was very strange. Half of it was black, and the other half was white. It seemed to have turned into yin and yang. The war chariot stopped when it was a meter away from the ground. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. The clan leader of the undead race walked forward and smiled. Fairy Yunxi, we have been waiting for you for a long time. 4 figures stood around the war chariot. The 4 great sages all wore masks, and their auras were just as terrifying. At this moment, they opened the door of the war chariot, and a woman walked out. This woman was even more strange. Half of her face was holy like an angel, while the other half was terrifying like a demon. As soon as she appeared, many young geniuses of the undead race were shocked. Their expressions were filled with fear. Even the elders were stunned. The clan leader of the undead race said, "Fairy Yunue, this is?" The woman in front said coldly, "Don't worry, I have reached a critical moment in cultivating my mystique. That's why I have such an impression." "I see." The clan leader of the undead race naturally knew about this woman's identity and background. Hence he was not surprised. He said, "Fairy Yunue, please." As the clan leader of the undead race, he was so respectful to her. The geniuses of the undead race were also confused. This woman was also from the younger generation. Why was their clan leader so afraid of her? As for her background, they had heard a little about it. The number 1 genius of their clan, the Undead Abyss, once had a marriage agreement. The other party was a genius of an ancient race. But later on, the Undead Abyss died unexpectedly. The undead race informed the other party of this news. The marriage agreement could not continue. Now that the person from the ancient race had arrived, this woman should be the fiancée of the Undead Abyss. Yunyu walked into the main hall. The 4 guards who followed her stood outside to guard her. The clan leader of the undead race and a few core elders walked in. The others were all blocked outside. After entering, the clan leader of the undead race sighed. "We are very sorry about what happened to the Undead Abyss." Yunyue's expression turned cold. "Who killed him? Although we are not married, he is still my fiancé. I will avenge whoever killed him. Our twin of destiny race will never let our enemies go." As she spoke, the light on her body became even more terrifying. Chapter 5089. This scene caused the surrounding elders to suck in a breath of cold air. It had to be said that this woman was really terrifying. The undead spirit patriarch seemed to have seen hope. He said that the person who killed Ling Yuan was also a young genius. His name was Lin Wudi. Lin Wudi. Yin Xia frowned. What an arrogant name. What was the background of this person? Did he know his identity and background? She asked. The undead spirit patriarch said that he didn't know. Previously he belonged to the Killing Temple. Later he fell out with the Sandkill Temple, and left the underworld. Yunyu frowned even more after hearing this. She clapped her hands lightly and said, "Come in." The door of the hall opened, and there were 4 guards outside. One of them walked in. This guard was wearing a bronze mask. After he entered he asked, "Princess, what's the matter?" Yunyu asked, "Have you heard of Lin Wudi?" The guard's eyes flickered. He had heard of this name recently. Oh. The surrounding people were stunned. Yunyu explained in detail. Not long ago, news came from St. Yuan Ancient City that the Dragon Prince had been crowned successfully. At the same time, another person had been crowned king on the same day. He was also from the Path Sect, and his name was Lin Wudi. The Path Sect had crowned 2 kings in one day. This news not only spread throughout the ancient city, but also in all directions. Even many people in the various worlds had heard the news. After the undead spirit race heard this, they gasped. Lin Wudi had already been crowned king. Could he fight against the imperial prince? This wasn't good news for them. Yunyu also asked, "Other than this Lin Wudi, do you know anyone else?" The guard shook his head. He could kill the number 1 genius of the spirit race, and his strength was close to that of the imperial prince. Therefore, the most likely person was Lin Wudi. After hearing this, Yunyu took a deep breath. An extremely sharp light burst out from her eyes. A crowned king? Humph, can you be arrogant just because of that? My destiny Gemini race can control your life. Unless you have an emperor race as your background, you will die without a doubt. It seemed that even if Lin Xian was crowned king and swept across the 9 heavens, the Destiny Gemini race didn't seem to intend to let him go. The undead spirit race clenched their fists. It seemed that they could only rely on this woman in front of them. Following that, the members of the Twin of Destiny clan left. After they left the underworld, Yin Yu's eyes shone with a sharp light. Search for Lin Wudi's whereabouts and act as soon as there's a chance. Don't kill him. Keep him alive and suppress him. For this person to be able to compete with the Crown Prince, he must have countless secrets. 2. A vortex appeared in the air. 2. Feeling the aura here, he was amazed. They had left the distant continent, far away from the wholly distant ancient city. They arrived at another continent. This was also the buried Emperor Star, called the Yuheng continent. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand. The toad and the dark red dragon followed. Little White also jumped out, looking very happy. The group flew into the distance. A few days later, they stopped. They found that there was a kind of jade in the forest ahead. It was something they had never seen before. This kind of jade was similar to a divine crystal. It was crystal clear and contained powerful energy. No wonder it was called the Yuheng continent. It turned out that it had such power. Lin Xian waved his hand and held a piece of jade in his hand. He felt the information. It seemed that each continent had a different source of power. This new power was able to cause the power in his body to boil. This time, he wanted to break through to the great sage on the Yuheng continent. Then he would kill his way back and fight with the Dragon Prince. Kid, watch me. At this moment, the dark red dragon walked out. He waved his hand and took out a disc array, looking for something. During this period, the dark red dragon was very mysterious. He seemed to have been affected by Lin Xian, and the Dragon Prince being conferred the title of king. The dark red dragon was also cultivating very hard. However, his cultivation did not increase. He seemed to be researching formations. Lin Xian looked at him curiously. What kind of new formation are you researching? The dark red divine dragon said proudly. Kid, watch carefully. My cultivation is not weaker than yours at all. When the time comes, I will also suppress a prince. As he spoke, the disc array in his hand spun quickly. There seemed to be a dragon image circling around it. Let's go. The dragon head pointed in a direction. The dark red dragon flew quickly. Lin Xian and the toad followed him in puzzlement. They flew for about half a day. After a while, the dark red dragon stopped. There was a continuous mountain range in front of them. The dark red dragon kept moving. When they were at the 24th mountain range, he said, "This is the place." The toad said, "Ruffian dragon, what are you doing? Is there a treasure here?" "Little guy, check it out." Lin Xian also looked at Little White. When it came to finding treasures, Little White was an expert. However, Little White was confused. "Yeah, there's nothing delicious here." "Damn, Ruffian dragon, can you do it?" the toad asked. The dark red dragon said, "What does this little monkey know? He's looking for spirit fruits. I'm also looking for treasures, but Little White is not interested. I'm looking for spirit veins of heaven and earth. Do you know what I just used? Searching for dragons and fixing veins." This was a powerful technique. When practiced to the extreme, one could be called a heavenly master. With the power of heaven and earth, it could suppress everything. When the time comes, I'll be Heavenly Master Dragon. To be more specific, Lin Xian was also puzzled. The dark red dragon explained in detail. Lin Xian was also shocked. It turned out that this was a power that surpassed formations. At their level, the array formation they set up was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian had even seen the formations of emperors. It was even more terrifying. However, there was another way to set up formations. That was to use mountains and rivers, spirit veins, and dragon veins as proof. They used heaven and earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars as their power to set up formations. When these people cultivated to a terrifying level, they were called Earth Masters. When they were more terrifying, they were called Heavenly Masters. A Heavenly Master was enough to make countless families of the remote antiquity panic. The dark red dragon was using such a method. Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't expect the dark red dragon to have such a powerful technique. Are you looking for a dragon vein? Lin Xian asked. The dark red dragon pointed at the mountain peak below. No, it's a jade vein. Didn't you find a piece of jade before? There's a complete jade vein here. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and do it. The toad couldn't wait anymore. Its eyes were red. Chapter 50-90. The group of people flew down the mountain peak. When they arrived at the bottom of the mountain peak, they were stunned, because they discovered that there were more people rushing over from afar. The auras of these people were very terrifying, and there were quite a few of them. It seemed that they should be a terrifying force. The leader was a short-haired man. After he arrived, he frowned and stared at Lin Xian and the other two. Who are you people? He asked coldly. The toad snorted coldly. Who are you people? We were the first to discover this place. As soon as these words came out, the people on the other side all pulled out their swords. Could it be that the secret was discovered by them? In that case, I can't let you live. The short-haired man in the lead waved his hand and said, Your faces look very unfamiliar. You shouldn't be from this area, right? I'll give you a chance. Quickly disappear from my sight, and I can spare your lives. Otherwise, he didn't continue speaking, but an extremely cold light appeared in his eyes. That was the power of thunder and lightning. It was extremely terrifying. This short-haired man's origin was extremely extraordinary. He was from the Thunder Clan, and had mastered the Thunder Dao. Moreover, his bloodline was very terrifying. It was said that when he was born, he was accompanied by a thundercloud. The people of the Thunder Clan thought that this was a phenomenon of heaven and earth, and that he would shine in the future. Therefore, the patriarch of the Thunder Clan personally gave him the name Lei Yun. Lei Yun had shown great talent since he was young. He was able to control terrifying thunder at a young age. It was not difficult for him to fight those of a higher level, and very few people of the same level were his match. He grew up like this. He had never been defeated and became a top genius of his generation. At this moment, his eyes were emitting thunder. In his opinion, the three people in front of him would definitely kneel down obediently and leave, because the other party couldn't withstand the power of his thunder at all. However, he was destined to be disappointed. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Was the other party threatening him? The other party's eyes were filled with thunder. Did he want him to submit and kneel? Emph. A trace of golden light appeared in his eyes, and with the power of reincarnation, he also charged over. It collided with the other party's thunder. In an instant, a large crack was torn open in the void. Lei Yun's expression changed. He realized that the other party didn't kneel down but instead attacked him. The other party's murderous gaze caused his soul to tremble. He roared angrily and wanted to retaliate, but he realized that the other party's soul was much more terrifying than he had imagined. The power of that gaze was like 100,000 mountains, causing him to crumble. Bang! A low voice rang out. Lei Yun quickly retreated. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were bloodshot. What's going on? The faces of the people behind him changed greatly, and they hurriedly supported him. You're hurt. Damn it, you dare to make a move? They roared crazily as they stared at Lin Xian. At the same time, they were shocked. They knew Lei Yun's strength. Could it be that he was careless? Lei Yun's expression turned even uglier. How could this be? How could the other party injure him so easily? Damn it! Who was the other party? One had to know that he was the top genius of the Thundercloud tribe, and had never been defeated. Although he was careless before, it was impossible for him to lose so miserably. Who are you? He also looked forward and roared crazily. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and said coldly, I'll give you a chance. Disappear from my sight, and I won't kill you. Kid, you're too arrogant. Do you know who we are? Do you know who the person you've injured is? Their eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent. No matter who you are, get lost. Lin Xian looked forward. He had already been crowned, so how could he be afraid of these people? Even if he was on another continent, he would still be an unparalleled expert. He did not need to be polite to anyone. The dark red divine dragon also walked over and said, What? Could it be that you know about the existence of the jade vein under this mountain? The toad snorted coldly. Don't think about it. The jade vein is ours. Get lost. The pupils of the Lei Dong tribe shrank. Damn it, these people actually knew about the jade vein. They couldn't let them live. Lei Dong swallowed a pill to suppress his injuries. Then he said, "Everyone, let's do it. The news here must not be spread out." These people would not be able to leave this place alive. The surrounding people nodded after hearing this. They split up and fought in all 8 directions. They sealed all the paths. Young man, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you think you can contend against us? A young man walked out. There were endless thunder snakes circling around his body. It was abnormally terrifying. Since you dare to offend our Lei Dong tribe, we won't kill you easily. We'll let you die in despair. Another old man walked out. He held a thunder blade in his hand, releasing a biting cold aura. The others all used their supernatural powers and phenomena, freezing between heaven and earth. The terrifying Thunder Dao aura carried a violent and destructive power. It was as if it wanted to tear Lin Xian and the others apart. There were still some people searching for opportunities in this mountain range, such as looking for spiritual herbs. At this moment, they felt the terrifying power of thunder emerging from this mountain peak. They thought that a treasure of heaven and earth had appeared. They all came over to investigate. However, when they saw one after another, powerhouses like the Thunder God, they were all stunned. It was the Lei Dong tribe. Leave quickly. These people hurriedly retreated. What was the Thunder Dragon tribe doing here? They seemed to have surrounded a few figures. Heavens, someone dared to attack the Lei Dong tribe? Did they have a death wish? In front, 12 powerhouses surrounded Lin Xian and the other 2. The Lei Dong tribe was not confident. In their opinion, 6 powerhouses were enough to deal with the other party. They went all out only because they were angry. You want to attack me? Lin Xian laughed. I advise you not to do this. Because if you attack me, you will end up in a terrible state. Stupid thing. Are you living in a dream? Do you think the 3 of you can fight against us? Ha 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 ha. They laughed proudly. The people in the distance were also frightened. There were even 2 figures standing on the mountain peak in the distance. The 2 silhouettes were a handsome man and a beautiful woman. The 2 of them looked ahead and frowned slightly. The Lei Dong tribe was too much. They had no choice. The Lei Dong tribe was also an overlord in this place. How could they take the 3 of them seriously? They just did not know where these 3 people came from. They were so reckless. There were always people who were blind. There was no need to pay attention to this battle. The man held a folding fan in his hand and shook his head slightly. Lei Yun, who was in front, shouted angrily, "Cut the crap and take him down. I want to torture him to death bit by bit." Following his command, the people in front of him made their move. The first middle-aged man waved his hand and thousands of lightning snakes flew out. Chapter 5091. These 2 people's attacks both charged toward Lin Xian. In their view, this attack was enough to seriously injure the other party. As for the others, some people attacked the dark red divine dragon and the toad. Looking at the divine abilities rushing over, Lin Xian sneered. He formed a seal with his palm. Endless golden light appeared in his palm. Fearless lion seal. A golden lion rushed forward, pouncing toward the 2 great divine abilities. Useless brat, who do you think you are? Can you contend with us? The 2 people sneered. The fearless lion collided with the terrifying thunder, emitting a sky-shaking sound. Tens of millions of lightning snakes were smashed into pieces in an instant. At the same time, that blade light was also sent flying by the fearless lion. How was this possible? The pupils of the 2 Thunderclap clan powerhouses constricted fiercely. The other party's divine ability was so powerful. It seemed that they underestimated this brat. This guy was actually a top genius. Thunderclap's pupils constricted even more fiercely. He roared angrily. Stop watching the show for me. Attack with all your might. I must obtain this divine ability. He was very tempted by this fearless lion seal. The other people also attacked one after another. However, Lin Xian's speed was even faster. He executed Shadowless Heaven's net and instantly disappeared. Those people's attacks hit nothing. When Lin Xian appeared, he already arrived beside the first middle-aged man. Go to hell. The middle-aged man waved his hand, turning into endless lightning snakes that surged out. Those lightning snakes had the power to pierce through everything, but they only hit Lin Xian's afterimage. A sword light appeared in Lin Xian's hand. He waved it lightly, instantly splitting open the other party's glabella. Azura sword art. The first sword. The middle-aged man's body trembled. He let out an unwilling roar. What kind of sword was this? It actually split open his soul in an instant. His body fell down and fell to the ground. Was he dead? The surrounding people were all stunned, not daring to believe it. The other party insta-killed a powerhouse on their side with one sword. What kind of sword technique was this? This kid was too strange, right? Strange movement technique, superb sword technique. Who exactly was the other party? Kill. They charged over once again. Lin Xian once again used Shadowless Heaven's net to dodge these attacks. Then, he walked up to the second old man. It was also the Azura sword art. The old man was scared out of his wits. He roared angrily and pushed the thunder blade in his hand to the limit, cleaving heaven and earth. This saber strike could shatter heaven and earth. However, it was still useless. The Azura sword art was a sure kill technique, a great emperor's technique. Its speed was incomparable. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the opponent's head. The second old man fell to the ground, bleeding from his forehead. Did one of them die? The others couldn't believe it. Lei Yin was also stunned. On the other side, the dark red divine dragon and the toad also attacked. The dark red divine dragon was very powerful. Its dragon claw sent a powerhouse flying. The toad even released poison and injured a person. However, there were too many of them, and all of them were experts. In an instant, they were surrounded. The dark red divine dragon snorted coldly. Then I'll let you have a look at my newly obtained power. With a wave of his hand, the ground around him split open, and countless rays of light appeared. That was the light of jade. It turned into a jade dragon and charged forward. The power was extremely terrifying. In an instant, 3 people were sent flying, vomiting blood. The toad also roared angrily. Little White, come and help me. I'll release poison. You do it. Little White ate spirit fruits while appearing and disappearing unpredictably. It directly knocked the 3 people unconscious. The 3 of them fell into a state of dizziness. The toad released poison. The 3 people's bodies started to rot, and they screamed in pain. The people of the Thunder Clan were beaten up by Lin Xian, and the other 2. In the blink of an eye, they were either dead or injured. Only Lei Yin was left. He looked forward and trembled in fear. Impossible. How can you be so strong? He was really stunned. Who were these people? Lin Xian killed 2 people of the Great Sage with another slash. Then he looked forward. I've said it before. I'm not someone you can provoke. I gave you a chance to leave before, but you didn't cherish it. Don't blame me. No. Lei Yin roared crazily. You can't kill me. I'm the top genius of the Thunder Clan. If you kill me, my clan won't let you off. Oh, is that so? Threatening me. Unfortunately, I'm not afraid of threats. Lin Xian sneered and walked forward. Lei Yin suddenly raised his head. A thunder talisman appeared on his forehead. Go to hell. The talisman emitted a thunder light. It was a red light with the power of heaven's punishment. It directly attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect the other party to have such an attack. Heaven's punishment was indeed a great threat to him, because he was abandoned by the heavens. However, that was a group of heavenly punishments. Now there was only one. Moreover, it was caused by the young man in front of him. Although it was dangerous to him, it wasn't fatal. He used Shadowless Heaven's net to dodge quickly. At the same time, he activated the heaven-devouring jar. A black vortex appeared and swallowed the heaven's punishment. How could it be? How could he not die? Lei Yin knelt down completely. The attack just now was the strongest attack he could make by activating his bloodline. Previously, he used this to kill an expert who was much stronger than him. This was his greatest trump card. But now it was easily dodged by the other party. Don't kill me. He knelt down, but he was sent flying by Lin Xian with a slap. Lin Xian's strength was so terrifying that half of Lei Yun's body was split open. Then he was instantly killed by a sword. The others were also dealt with. The people who were watching the battle from afar were dumbfounded. What did they see? The terrifying Thunder Clan was actually annihilated by someone. This was too inconceivable. Were these people really all young people? The two people who were watching the battle from afar were also shocked. Oh, the tables had turned. It seemed that the Thunder Clan had kicked an iron plate. The 12 people in front of him were all extremely terrifying existences among great saints. However, they were mercilessly killed. This meant that Lin Xian and the others were far stronger than the other party. At this moment, they were even more shocked, because they realized that the handsome man in the lead was looking in their direction. There was a golden glow in his eyes. The void around them instantly froze, and their souls also felt a tremendous pressure. The handsome man snorted and closed his folding fan. A force enveloped them. Then the two disappeared. Did they leave? Lin Xian retracted his gaze. The power of these two people was very strange. He ignored them and waved his hand to split the mountain peak. Below, an endless light flew out. It was a jade vein. At this moment, a small part of the jade vein had already dimmed. Lin Xian was also shocked when the dark red divine dragon used this power. He could tell that the dark red divine dragon used the power of the jade vein to form a jade dragon that swept in all directions. Didn't this mean that as long as there were enough spirit veins under the ground, the dark red divine dragon could use them indefinitely? What a terrifying secret technique. Chapter 5092. As for the remaining jade veins, Lin Xian divided them into 3 portions, and gave them to the dark red divine dragon and the toad. Let them cultivate. As for Little White, it didn't care about these at all. Little White only liked to eat spirit fruits of heaven and earth. Lin Xian's portion was kept by him. After entering the sword world, the jade vein turned into a jade dragon and crawled up. The light on the surface instantly dimmed. Fortunately, the surroundings of the Four Spirits Valley had already changed, so the power of the jade vein did not completely disappear. Not bad, kid. Did you find another spirit vein? The 4 spirit beasts were overjoyed. What a special power. Lin Xian waved his hand and used the void beast to bring the group away. After arriving at a safe place, he went in and absorbed the power of the jade vein. Later on, the dark red divine dragon and the toad also came. They placed their jade veins into the sword world. After cultivating recently, they were shocked. Heavens, you actually have a world in your body. What kind of world is this? Why do I feel so primordial? The dark red divine dragon was shocked. The toad also said, what an ancient aura. Moreover, this world seemed to be dilapidated. Only this place was filled with vitality. Damn the divine spring of life. The toad looked ahead and directly flew over to the spring under the heavenly tree. However, it was blocked by a force. It wasn't Lin Xian who did it. Instead, it was a section of the heavenly tree's trunk that was blooming with light. It blocked everything. Fortunately, the toad was one of them, so it was only bounced back. If it was an enemy, this attack would have been enough to blast the enemy into a bloody mist. Lin Xian was also surprised. It seemed that the divine spring of life fruit from before was powerful enough to restore some vitality to the withered heavenly tree. However, it was too small. It was only a tree trunk. It was far from enough. He didn't know what kind of power this was. To be able to revive the entire heavenly tree. While they were cultivating here, the news outside had also spread. Those who were watching the battle from afar spread what they had seen. Everyone was shocked. 3 experts had joined forces to kill the 12 great sage of the Thunder Clan. Even young Master Thundercloud had fallen. Heavens, who was it? Were those people very powerful? When they heard that most of the great sage were killed in an instant, they were stunned. Heavens, it had been thousands of years since someone dared to challenge the Thunder Clan. When the Thunder Clan received the news, they roared crazily. They sent even more experts and elders to investigate. However, they discovered that the person had already left. The jade vein had also disappeared. This made them so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. This time, their losses were truly too great. Not only did he lose the jade vein, but he also lost a group of experts. Nonsense, he was the one who initiated this gathering. He was the most dazzling genius of the Tianpeng clan. How could he be absent? Moreover, I know that this gathering is specially for the Phoenix clan's genius. Are you talking about Muong Qingqing? I heard that she joined the Phoenix clan halfway. How could her status be so high? One after another, voices of discussion sounded. After Lin Xian and the others heard this, they narrowed their eyes. They did not expect that there would be news about the Phoenix clan so soon. Previously, when the savage ancestor asked him to choose a continent to teleport to, Lin Xian asked where the Phoenix clan was, because he felt that it was definitely related to Muong Qingqing. He had not seen her for a long time. Su Qing wanted to take this opportunity to meet her, so he came to the Alioth continent. He did not expect that not long after he arrived, he would hear news about the Phoenix clan. Moreover, it was news about Muong Qingqing. Greetings, everyone. Lin Xian walked over and said with a smile. The youths who were talking ahead all turned their heads and asked, "Who are you?" Lin Xian said, "I came from outside. I heard that there was a gathering here, but I don't know the exact location. I also want to see the Phoenix clan's genius to fulfill a dream of mine." Chapter 5093. Sorry to disturb you. Lin Xian and the others sat with these people. They were all young people, and they were all geniuses from the great clans. Moreover, they were all genius disciples of large clans. Otherwise, they wouldn't be qualified to talk about the Phoenix clan. "How should I address you, brother?" A man in white asked. The other girls also blinked because they realized that Lin Xian was very handsome. However, that was all. At their level, the most important thing was to consider strength. "My name is Lin Xian, and these are my two friends." Lin Xian and the others greeted them. After hearing this, they nodded. They didn't care too much. After all, this was the Yuheng continent. They were more concerned about the experts and geniuses of this continent. For example, the experts of the Phoenix clan and the Tianpeng clan. Although the news of Lin Xian being crowned king had spread throughout the 8 desolations, that fame belonged to Lin Wudi. As for Lin Xian's real name, not many people knew about it. Lin Xian didn't care about this. This could save him a lot of trouble. At least, if the enemy wanted to investigate him, they wouldn't know where he was. Lin Xian also knew about these people. There were a total of 5 people. 2 of them were from the Great Sects, and the other 3 were from the clan of the Ancients. They were the Earth Spirit clan and the Golden Armor clan. The leader of the Earth Spirit clan was called Bai Yi, and the leader of the Golden Armor clan was called Jia Luo. The group was familiar with each other. Bai Yi said, Brother Lin, there's still a month before the banquet. However, we have to move in 3 days. Because of the distance, it's quite far from here." Lin Xian nodded and said, "No problem, Brother Bai will make the decision." 3 days later, they set off in a war chariot and flew into the distance. After flying for about 20 days, they finally stopped. There was a sealed boundary in front of them. It formed a space of its own. Bai Yi said, "This is our destination. The territory in front belongs to the Tianpeng clan. It has an extremely strong seal. Ordinary people can't enter. Fortunately, we have invitations." Bai Yi and the others took out their invitations and walked in. After entering, the inside was like a celestial land. It was vast and boundless, surrounded by spirit qi. It looked like a paradise on earth. Lin Xian and the others felt refreshed. The Heavenly Rock clan was indeed extraordinary. Although they weren't from the Monarch clan, they were still at the top of the clan of the Ancients. After entering, Lin Xian and the others could hear all sorts of discussions regarding the Heavenly Rock race, especially the legend of Flawless 100 Miles. Although the Sky Rock race wasn't an emperor race, Prince Bailey was too strong. He was definitely a revered great emperor. It wouldn't be a problem for him to become a great emperor. That was for sure. If he could marry the fatally beautiful fairy of the Phoenix clan, it would be even more perfect. The surrounding martialists were full of envy at the thought of the fatally beautiful fairy. To be able to marry such a beauty, He could die without regrets. As for those beautiful fairies, their faces are filled with jealousy. If only I could marry young Master Wuxia. How good would that be? Don't even think about it. You guys have no chance. Someone said. There were also people who asked, why did I hear that Princess Qingqing seemed unwilling? What do you know? In my opinion, that Morong Qingqing is too stupid. She thinks that she can be superior because she's from the Phoenix clan. It's her fortune that young Master Wuxia likes her. The one who said that was also a little princess. She seemed to be very angry. She said, the heavenly rock race is an existence that can slay dragons. No matter how strong the Phoenix clan is, they can't be that much stronger. Don't they have an additional extreme weapon? Other than that, I don't think there's much of a difference. As soon as she said that, the dark red dragon was unhappy. He originally wanted to find out more information, but at this moment he snorted coldly. How dare they slay dragons? Aren't they afraid of being torn apart by dragons? Also, who does that Wuk think he is? How dare he marry Qingqing? Is he worthy? As soon as this voice was heard, the surrounding people were stunned. They all turned their heads to look. Damn, who is it? He's so reckless. Is he a snake? No, he has the aura of a dragon. He's a member of the dragons. No wonder. There seems to be a grudge between the heavenly rock race and the dragons, right? Dragons are strong, but in ancient times, the heavenly rock race also produced peerless experts. They once swept through the 8 desolates. At that time, a conflict broke out between the heavenly rock race and the dragons, and there was even a story about the heavenly rock race. Later on, it evolved into the heavenly rock race. It made people think that the heavenly rock race was superior to the dragons. At that time, the dragons were very angry because of this matter, and they started countless battles with the heavenly rock race. Later on, the dragons produced a great emperor, and he swept through the world. Only then did they stand at the peak of the universe. However, the heavenly rock race was not destroyed. They were only suppressed by the dragons. From this, it could be seen that the heavenly rock race was also very powerful. They only lacked a great emperor. Someone sneered. The dragons dare to come here? Aren't they afraid of being stewed by the heavenly rock race? The dark red dragon snorted coldly. Let's see who dares to make a move against me. Lin Xian and the others also walked over and looked around. He advised, all right, ruffian dragon, calm down. We'll talk about it when the time comes. He didn't want to attract attention now. Chapter 5094. Hearing this, Lin Xian's expression became extremely strange. Because Lin Wudi, whom these people admired, was him. What kind of expression would these people have if they knew? They came from afar. At this moment, a few figures walked over. The leader was a tall man with thunder surrounding his body. He was abnormally terrifying. When Lin Xian saw this person, he narrowed his eyes because he had met this person's aura before. Were the people of the Thunder clan here for him? The dark red dragon was also nervous. They were ready to attack at any time. But what surprised them was that the other party was not here for him. The tall man in front looked at Lin Xian and the others. However, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were quickly ignored by him. He stared at the 2 women from the Earth Spirit clan, and a smile appeared on his face. New faces, not bad looking. Lei Shan was very satisfied. They could be his cultivation vessels. He said, I'm Lei Shan from the Thunder clan. How should I address you? Hearing this, the people of the Earth Spirit clan and Golden Armor sect were surprised. The Thunder clan was very famous in this area. They were good at thunder and were fast. Their strength was terrifying. More importantly, the Thunder clan seemed to be in an alliance with the Tian Prung clan. Therefore, their identities were not ordinary and surpassed them. Bei Yi quickly said, we are from the Earth Spirit clan. These are my 2 sisters. The people of Golden Armor sect also introduced them. At the same time, he pointed at Lin Xian and the others and said, this is Sir Lin and his friend. We met on the road. Lei Shan glanced at Lin Xian and the others and ignored them. He said, please come in. Especially when he came to Bei Ye's side. He smiled and said, how should I address these 2 fairies? Sir, you're too polite. I'm Xiao Xian, and this is my sister Xiao Yu. It's your first time here, right? I'll show you around. Thank you. Bei Yi also bowed respectfully. If they could establish a good relationship with the Thunder Clan, it would be very good for their clan. The group of people walked forward. Along the way, many people greeted and bowed to Lei Shan. These people shocked Bei Yi and the others. It seemed like Lei Shan's identity and strength were much more terrifying than they had imagined. The two women from the Earth Spirit Clan also had stars in their eyes. The dark red dragon sneered at the sight of this. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It was good that they weren't here for them. As for the other party's goal, he couldn't be bothered to care. He was waiting to see Morong Qingcheng. At this moment, Lei Shan stopped and said, I know a garden full of celestial flowers. Many of them were already extinct in the outside world, never to be seen again. Ordinary people are not allowed to enter this garden. But don't worry, with me here, I can definitely bring you in. When he said this, his eyes shone brightly. The members of the Earth Spirit Clan and the Golden Armor Gate were also shocked. Although their identities were also extraordinary, they were still far from being comparable to the other party. On the other hand, Lin Xian and the others were expressionless. This made the members of the Thunder Clan frown. Did these people not know how powerful they were? But forget it, there was no need to care about these ants. Lei Shan's main goal was to get the two fairies. There was a courtyard in front of them, and there were arrays flickering inside. Those outside couldn't enter at all, and there were two guards guarding the entrance of the courtyard. Some people wanted to enter, but they were blocked, and their faces turned ugly. Lei Shan arrived and said a few words. The two guards quickly bowed and opened the door. Lei Shan and the others walked in. However, when it came to Lin Xian and the others, they stopped. The two guards said, The three of you can't enter. What did they mean? The toad was instantly enraged. The dark red dragon snorted coldly. Were they looking down on others? At the front, the members of the Earth Spirit Clan and the Golden Armor Gate frowned when they saw this. The members of the Golden Armor Gate said, This is also our companion. Brother Lin is our friend, Bei Yi said. However, the two guards still didn't care. They could see that the people in front of them were all wearing precious sacred weapons. They could tell at a glance that their identities were extraordinary. However, Lin Xian and the others were only wearing black robes, and they didn't even have a single weapon. These people probably couldn't even take out saint artifacts, so what right did they have to enter the appreciation garden? Lei Shan stood at the front and looked at this scene from above. He sneered in his heart. He originally thought that these people looked calm, and seemed to have some powerful trump card. However, now it seemed that they were just a group of country bumpkins. The other party had never heard of his name. It was even possible that these people came from the mountains. They didn't know what top geniuses were like. They were lucky to have met Bei Yi and the others, so they could follow them in. Bei Yi looked at Lei Shan and said, Young Master Lei, can you please help us? The two women of the Earth Spirit Clan also nodded at the side. Lei Shan said, Don't worry, leave this small matter to me. He said to the two guards, Let them in. Only then did the two guards feel relieved. The stars in the eyes of the two women of the Kirin clan became even brighter. This was the peerless genius in their hearts, an unparalleled powerhouse. One sentence was enough to settle everything. At this moment, only Lei Shan was left in their eyes. After entering, they were even more surprised because they found that the appreciation garden was indeed filled with spirit flowers. There were some that they had never seen before, and they had only heard of in legends. Moreover, there were also some people in the garden, but they were much fewer than outside. The identities of those who came here were all terrifying. The dark red dragon gritted his teeth. What's there to be proud of? Isn't it just a lousy garden? If I want to come in, they can stop me. The toad also gritted his teeth. That Lei Dong clan was too arrogant, and he really wanted to slap him to death. Lin Xian smiled. It's okay, think about it, he can't even see through our identities, so he's just an ant. Do you have to be angry with an ant? If you're really angry, then use your new skills and take away the spirit vein under the garden. Hearing this, the dark red dragon was stunned. Then he laughed. Good boy, I almost forgot. I'll let you see what I'm capable of. He sneered and began to walk around the garden. It seemed that he wanted to change the spirit vein under the ground. At this moment, the sound of a bugle horn came from afar. At the same time, a voice was heard. The Phoenix clan had arrived. As soon as the voice was heard, countless people turned to look. The people of the Phoenix clan had arrived. They knew that today's main character was the Phoenix clan, and this gathering was invited by the Tianpeng clan. Now that these people had finally arrived, they wondered if Morong Qingqing had come. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.